Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Wrestling RHAPup podcast. I'm your host, Mari Forth, and with me, as always, my co-host, my tag team partner, the Eddie Kingston to my John Moxley, Mr. Matt Scott. Matt, how are you doing today?
Yeah, you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm happy to be back, coming off the top rope. I was going to say like Eddie Kingston. I don't think that's his thing, but definitely happy to be here. Happy to be back. I'm shot out of a cannon today, Mari. Let's do this.
Yes, it's our first time back in 2 months at least.
Yeah,
We took our brief hiatus. We're
we
back.
did.
We're refreshed. We're ready to go.
We are.
Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to during the hiatus.
Basically from the moment that we stopped podcasting to now, I've been recording a Cook Islands podcast with you and Taryn. It's gone on for about 2 months now. But beyond our record-breaking podcast with Taryn on Cook Islands, that record will not last for too long. So let's
Nope.
bask in the glory, like Keith Lee.
Yeah.
I've been good. I've been up to some things. I was able to take the extra time that wasn't spent podcasting and put it into my stuff with Let's Care, featuring Changemakers. Finished a film that I recorded like 2 years ago, so it's out there, and I'm just happy to be here. I feel like it's been a productive time, but I'm like, it's good to get back into the rhythm of the wrestling RHAPup. What have you been up to?
Oh my gosh. So like since we left, I was, I stay busy. I stay podcasting because I love
Booked and
TV.
busy.
Yes. Big Brother Canada completely consumed my world. Like I was watching everything. I was on 90 Day Fiance. I was on The Bachelor podcast. I was on
Okay.
I was on Married at First Sight podcast, and then as soon as Big Brother Canada came out, I was like, none of it. I stopped watching all of it just so I could sit by and watch the Big Brother Canada feeds. Like, Big Brother Canada was so good. It was just so good. Great, just great, interesting drama, gameplay, strategy, like just silliness. So I threw myself into that. And while also podcasting about it, podcasted about it a few times during the season, and it was just a fun ride. Sad it's over. Had a great winner, but other than that, I've just been enjoying my time out. I've been spending time with my family. We are currently looking for a house, so we're doing house hunting, trying to become homeowners. So like big important stuff. Sometimes it's great. I love doing these podcasts. I love doing features. We did the podcaster mafia the other day.
We tried.
We
we did try.
So sad. Yes, and it was fun, and I'm just glad I got a little bit of time. Just to do family stuff, but also still do silly RHAP stuff. So can you explain to the listeners about the podcaster mafia if they haven't heard about it?
Okay, so but basically a bunch of us podcasters, like 15 or 16 or 17 podcasters from RHAP kind of came together and we played a game of Mafia, which I am not equipped to describe to folks because that was my first time playing.
Same.
After the traumatizing experience, possibly the last time, but jokingly, no, I would love to play again. It's so fun. And we... whenever you bring like that many podcasters and personalities into a place, it's just like, you never know what to expect. And it was all over the place. And I would encourage, if you want to see the YouTube version, which includes commentary from Puya and from Liana and even from Mike Bloom, check that out. I still haven't watched it back because Mari and I got beat up a little bit. And I'm going to stop now because you can tell though I'm preoccupied. I'm kind of like Randy Orton earlier this year when he was, spitting out black oil because I just feel played.
You're being hard on us. We did kind of good. So Mafia is basically in life among us. Like if you've played Among Us, it's in life among us. It's a group of people. There are killers, there are Mafia, and you're trying to figure out who is Mafia, who is killers. It's really cool. Go check it out on the RHAP YouTube page. Like Matt said, there's the YouTube version and you can see all of it. But basically, your podcast, we were the Mafia. Me, Matt, and Rob were the Mafia for the first round, and we were actually doing really good.
The first round did go pretty well. Yes. It went pretty well.
And then we were foisted by our own petard.
How dare we?
I know, because we were too nice. Tell me this is not what happened, Matt.
We're going to take out Grace Leader next time. No matter what, I know she's listening. Grace, we're coming for you. We're coming for you because we have a feud. And, I know that you're going to come back to this podcast one day, coming in hot as Stella Excuse You.
Yes.
I'm not even going to shade you and call you Stella Excuse Me because I could have done that, but I'm going to be the bigger person. We should have taken you out and we made a mistake and we underestimated you and overthought everything. So
yes, former friend of the pod.
Never wanna, don't follow Grace. Don't talk to Grace at Hi From Grace on Twitter.
AKA Stella Excuse You. She found us out. She basically annihilated us and we lost.
And then Chappelle called me out.
Yes,
for being quiet, which
again, another former friend of the pod, Chappelle.
C-Dog. Never coming back again.
He had
probably also listening.
He had his own special role and he also sussed us out. He sussed Matt out. So the both of them basically took us out. So again, it'll be the Wrestling RHAPup versus C-Dog and Stella Excuse You at SummerSlam. Book it.
Actually, I want to break this down a little bit more because I just want to touch on something else that came up. Mari and we met in person for the first time after our first season, believe it or not, even though we live in Washington, D.C., pandemic, vaccines, great things. We were with Kevin and Nigel, otherwise known as just Nigel with a K at the beginning, couple name. But, we posted our picture and Chappelle decided to show us up and post a picture with Jacob Jones. And I think there's a little bit of like a Texas alliance going on between Jacob Jones and Chappelle and Kelsey and Asia. And I'm just not ready for it. So look, we're going to see what bubbles up. But
yes, it's there's their squad versus us. We got us and we got Kevin and Nigel. So
War games.
So hopefully we can have Jacob Jones on the pod at some point. Yes. Give him a wrestling name and then beat up on him.
Yep. Team up on him. Great way to, hopefully he doesn't hear this and deny our request to have him on.
But yeah, so other than that, it's been a great hiatus. We're back in form. Summer is here. It's getting nice outside. It's kind of returning back to normal. So we are vaxxed and ready for the summer. We would suggest you do so as well. Other than that, we also want to hear back from you guys again. Our emails are open. The emails, the DMs, they've been open. So
slide in.
Yeah, so if you want to send us any questions or comments, you can send them to wrestling@robhasawebsite.com. You can also interact with us on Twitter at Wrestling RHAPup on Twitter and hashtag Wrestling RHAPup. Tag that. We'll see your questions. We'll see your comments. We'll talk about it. We'll address it on the show. We want to hear from you. So reach out. Matt, where can people find you on Twitter?
Oh, you could find me at Matt Scott GW on Twitter. And beyond that, Mari and I have still been around in the Job Has a Squadcast group, a bunch of great wrestling fans in this RHAP universe. And I'm also a patron, so you could find me there too. But where are all of the places that Mari could find you, that people could find you, Mari?
You can always find me on Twitter at Mari Talks Too Much. again, hit me up, hit us up. We want to hear from you. We will also be doing some stereo reaction podcasts. So if you follow me and Matt on stereo, you can follow me at Mari Talks Too Much. You can follow Matt at Matt Scott GW on stereo.
Right.
You can be there when we do our live reactions. You can submit your audio questions. Again, we want to hear your voices, and you can be included on the podcast. So follow us there. Yes.
Yeah.
We also have our own podcast feed. So if you already haven't, rate, review, and subscribe to Wrestling RHAPup podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts, please do that.
Please. 5 stars. Please,
5 stars. Yes,
please.
You got to give us those 5 stars. And if you leave a review, again, we'll put it right here at the top of the show. So you don't even have to listen to the whole show. You can just listen to your review.
And then check out. It's cool. And also share the podcast. But then you could leave if you want. It's cool. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support and love and all of that, and for listening. For those who listened before, thank you for coming back. For those who didn't listen before, thanks for joining us now. And we're just so thankful. We're so thankful. But you think we should get into it, or is there anything else we want to plug, Mari?
No, let's get into it. We've been away for months. So
gone.
I mean, it's
absent. A little... I was gonna say deceased, but thankfully we are here.
I know. I was like, what's gonna be the next one?
We're having too much fun. Okay.
Yes.
This is wrestling is fun. In case you missed our last season of the podcast, wrestling is fun. We have a lot of fun doing it. Clearly, we haven't talked about it in a while, so we're gonna have a lot of fun and hope you have fun with us. And Mari, take it away.
Yeah, so we've been gone. So we want to hit you guys with all of our freezing cold takes from all of the news.
Scalding cold.
From all of the segments, the news that has been going on in the last 2 months, because of course you want to hear our out-of-date takes on stuff that's been happening while we've been gone, right?
Yeah, we're gonna be like the Ron Burgundy of WWE right now, except if you're watching Anchorman in 2021, because it's that outdated. So that's what I've got.
Yeah. So first off, we have to talk about it. Unfortunately, this is not a laughing matter. We got more WWE releases about like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Again, freezing cold, guys. So WWE released, listen to this, Matt. Braun Strowman.
Tell me.
Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Lana, Santana Garrett, and Buddy Murphy. Like, that is a list there, man. But
yeah.
When this news hit, we were just about to go live with the Cook Islands podcast. And we were
shout out
to
Taryn.
Yes. We were like, man, we're about to record a 5-hour podcast when stuff is happening in wrestling that we can't even talk about. Like, that was so crazy. Thank you, everybody who hit us up, who wanted to hear about what we thought. Shout out to Ashley Bedazzlewitz. Shout out to Edmo. Shout out to everybody who's supported us, like Matt said. But like, man, it's so unfortunate. We were like, this list came out and we were like, I would have loved to do an emergency podcast, but it just wasn't going to happen because we already had committed. So
yeah,
when you look at these names, Matt, like what really jumps out at you?
Yeah, I've had like so many different thoughts on this and reactions, and also shout out to Jordan who messaged me just asking for my thoughts on the releases, and I told him we would be here talking about them. So just the thing that stands out to me, not only with these releases, but then thinking about all of the ones that we've seen this year, it has been a lot of talent, a lot of really incredible talent with a lot of potential, and a lot of people who, like, I think each and every one of them has something to contribute. And maybe that's in part because, you know, the wrestling world is just so full of talent. And also because WWE has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of talent on their roster. But I at first was like very upset. That's always been my go-to reaction when people have been released. And you know what? The beautiful thing that I realized is like, okay, maybe this is maybe not financially or from like an exposure perspective, but maybe from like a performer happiness perspective, this is a really great thing to happen to a lot of these people. Because beyond Braun Strowman and, some others, like we've seen Ruby Riott around a lot. We've seen Lana around a lot. Aleister Black has kind of like bubbled up. And I think that was really surprising to people that he's gone.
Yeah.
It is, it's nice that they have an opportunity to go shine elsewhere.
Yeah. I think for me, like Aleister Black, you let Aleister Black go right when you had just reintroduced him. Like he was about to go into a program with Big E, from what I understand. And it was just like, dang it, man. Dang it. Like I was so excited to see him back on the screen. So, and he's been doing a lot of interviews and he's had nothing but good things to say about WWE. A lot of people were kind of mad at him for not like trashing WWE because people love,
how dare he?
Yeah, be nice.
Drag him, Aleister.
Yeah.
Tommy End, by the way. I don't know if he's going to go by that name again, but Tommy End is what he was known as beforehand.
Yeah, I am a little sad about that one. I'm really sad about Ruby Riott because like when I tell you, when Ruby debuted in NXT, I was so excited for her because she can work. Ruby can freaking go. Like Ruby is such a great worker. And when she premiered in NXT really had that amazing women's division at the time. Her, Nikki Cross, Asuka was there right when she came. Then she got to work with like Liv and Bianca and all of them, and it was just, she's just so good. And then she also provides like that alternative,
that edge,
yes, to the women's division, that I'm just very upset that she didn't get like her and Liv didn't even get the tag titles
You mentioned that too multiple times, like on
did.
the podcast as it went along, and it's unfortunate. And then also the other thing with Ruby Riott is that like I'll never forget this with the first Mae Young Classic, which I loved. Like if you look closely, like almost, I feel like every other highlight clip that was shown for the women, I think that most of them are from Shimmer, the promotion Shimmer, and they also featured like Ruby jobbing out, basically. Ruby at the time known as Heidi Lovelace. Yes, just kind of like taking everyone's finishers, and it shows like how much experience she has and where she's been. And I honestly didn't truly fully appreciate her. It's like kind of that saying, like, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. And that's a situation where I don't think that WWE knew what to do with Ruby Riott, and again with a lot of people that were released. And so I really do believe that Ruby Riott / Heidi Lovelace / whatever name that she chooses to embrace, will be successful, because like if you're that good, you're gonna go far one way or the other.
Exactly. And again, that is the thing. I think what's also more upsetting to me is she posted on Instagram saying that she was basically completely shocked by the cut. That her former name Heidi Lovelace was basically given to her. And she said that Ruby Riott was taken away. So she's going to need time to decide what she's going to come back as. And that just really makes me sad, because especially like her and Liv Morgan were really close. This week on SmackDown, Liv Morgan wore a band that said Rue on it. And Ruby and Liv Morgan are so nice. When we went to go see Survivor Series in LA, after the show, some fans were hanging around near where the talent leaves, and we were just walking by, and then we just saw people like waving and like shouting, and we're like, oh, what's going on? And we went over, and like Ruby and Liv were like waving to the crowd and like talking back and posing for pictures and stuff, and they were just really nice people. So it just sucks. Like, this always sucks when people lose their jobs. but like it just when you just feel like you can feel the performers, emotions, that's what like kind of really sucks. And I'm a football fan. I'm like a diehard football fan. So like half of these I was just like, please stay psyched. Please just tell me you're releasing them so that you can like rehire them. I'm a Ravens fan, so we are notorious for cutting people and then re-signing them the next day. So I was like,
hey,
please sign them back, please.
What a roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, I just want to comment on something you said, which I feel like when so many releases happen, like we kind of become numb to them and kind of gloss over the human factor of it. But
yeah,
Ruby Riot, I'll call her Ruby Riot. Ruby's post I kind of felt like the pain and the trauma of that. Like imagine being called by a certain name every single day of your life and you identify that by that and you answer to that. And then it's literally just ripped away from you. And that's happened to basically everyone who's been released. But I don't want to understate how, how significant that is and how painful that could probably be.
Yeah, exactly. Lana was also released again, very shockingly, because she was featured on TV every week. But her husband Miro is in AEW, so I mean, I would be shocked if she doesn't show up on over there at some point.
I mean, we'll see. Your story about just Ruby and Liv made me think about this Lana story I have from like, let's say years ago. I don't know, 2014 or 2015 or 2016, whenever. But there was a day where WWE was here in the DC area with a house show at the Eagle Bank Arena over in Fairfax. And I had a friend. I had a friend who was working in WWE Digital at the time, and he said, like, come over, like, let's talk, let's connect, because I was just starting my career and kind of like, getting his advice in digital. And I was backstage, and so like I met Big E. I was sitting in a room alone at one point where Kofi was there, and I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say hi or just sit here. And I just sat there and like, awkwardly, I didn't know what I was doing. But mess. But the other thing is that I remember that day mostly for the fact that at one point we were standing like on the ramp and a bunch of the women were in the ring training, and Lana was training, and this is before she debuted, and she actually like injured her wrist, like taking a hair beel or something like that, just like one of those bumps. And I remember everyone like, is she okay? Is she okay? And then like Cesaro ran off and didn't want to have anything to do with it. That's a whole other story. God. Yeah, I mean, they're in good hands. WWE's medical team knows what they're doing. But all to say that Lana is
Keep going.
But yeah, Lana clearly put in a lot of work. And I mean, again, I don't think I need to say not my favorite talent. I mean, I could probably say that I think most of us probably say that for like a lot of people who've been released, but I appreciate the effort and growth. And even what we've seen the last like 8 months from Lana has been kind of cool, between going through 9 tables, putting Nia and her hole through a table, and just kind of like shining in a lot of ways. So yeah, surprising, but she'll be okay.
Yes. And Santana Garrett, she was AP star beforehand. Her 2 besties are Chelsea Green,
Scott Hall. Scott Hall trained her.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I only knew that she like hung with Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green.
Look at that.
So yeah, maybe we'll see where she ends up. Buddy Murphy, I want to say this is surprising, but I guess it's not because his storyline with the Mysterios was just kind of like wholly rejected to the point where they just like dropped it one week. And Buddy Murphy can really go. We know that he helped put 305 Live on the map and all of that.
205 Live.
Oh shoot, yes.
What is 305 Live?
I don't know. It's a running joke on another wrestling podcast, I think. But anyways, 205 Live It is. So Buddy Murphy is a great worker. Hopefully he can find employment here, because I know he's from Australia, so I hope he doesn't end up having to like relocate. But he's good. I think he'll land somewhere. So, I mean, the list of releases this year have just been so it's just so vast and just so.
And it's a lot. And the other thing that I read, and I think the source of this was Andrew Zarian, who's from the Mat Men podcast, which shout out to them, because I've been listening to that podcast for years, and he's always had like insider takes and scoops. But one thing he was saying, and he's a really reliable source, is just like more releases are coming, and we could expect this to potentially be a regular thing, which, I mean, the last couple months, it's kind of been a regular thing of these waves of releases. Last month, we saw a massive, I think they refer to it as like a restructuring, where a ton of people in corporate were fired and let go from like the media and digital and other types of teams. And so, it's unfortunate, but I think that, WWE had way too many talent signed, I think. And I'm not saying that they should get rid of them, but it makes sense when you're like, oh yeah, we haven't seen X person on TV. So it makes sense for WWE to release them, because that's not a smart investment of their money or time and resources. And I think the same goes for the behind the scenes stuff, where what I read is that they kind of realize like, oh, we have a lot of redundancy in who we hire, which happens in a lot of companies with a lot of money, who are able to just hire kind of like all over the place, willy-nilly. I've never used that phrase before, but like willy-nilly. And it's sad. These are people's lives, but I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, and I can't fault WWE. I don't think we could really fault WWE for making these decisions, and they don't have the best decision making anyway. So whatever.
They brought on like a new creative EP, and they brought on like all these different corporations, and that's the rumor is that they might sell. I don't know. I cannot see WWE selling in Vince McMahon's lifetime. Like there's just no way that happens, but they are currently restructuring everything. I think these new TV deals and the deal with Peacock are allowing them to restructure everything. And I agree with you, Matt. I do agree. Like, we cannot fault corporations for trying to make money. It's just very annoying, because this is a $1 billion company that just made another billion, and they're making people jobless, but also there's not enough minutes in the week to showcase everybody. So it just sucks. Honestly, it just sucks. I don't know.
What?
It just sucks. And I'm just praying for all these people to bounce back. Hopefully they can shine somewhere else. I just hope it works out for everybody.
One thing I'll just say, which I haven't really thought of until now, but something you said made me think of this, is that WWE could have, they have the money to create platforms for people to be showcased. Like, I don't know if that's more stuff like 205 Live and some of these other fringe shows, but they could create that space for people. I don't know who would be watching necessarily, but actually to give a good example of this, which ties in with another story and something else I know we'll talk about, is Mickie James. And Mickie James talked about, there's a lot to get into with Mickie James, but my point being, Mickie James brought up this concept of an all-women show, and we could have had an all-women show, including people not just Lana and Ruby and Santana Garrett, but also Chelsea Green, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Mickie James, all these people who've been released. So I am a little bit hesitant to give WWE the out, because I just want to say I think a lot of it comes down to them just not knowing how to use people, or not wanting to put the energy into figuring out how to use people, or not listening to their ideas. So
agreed.
It's complicated and messy.
Yeah, so to continue that on, NWA announced they are going to be putting on an all-women's pay-per-view in August, I believe. Mickey James will be the executive producer of the show, which is going to be amazing on so many levels. A lot of WWE women have talked about how they want another Evolution, like Evolution 2. Evolution was an all women's pay-per-view that was done in 2018, which was freaking amazing. We have not gotten another one, and there's debates on why we haven't gotten another one, but Mickey James.
I'm so mad, by the way. We'll get into it, but I'm very annoyed with Mr. Paul Levesque.
Yeah, exactly. And so Mickey James, she's gonna EP the show. She says that she wants, the best women to come and compete on it. She wants, no matter what the contractual obligations are. I know I don't watch NWA. I keep up with it through reading on what's going on with Twitter or wrestling news, dirt sheets, whatever. But when this is true, I'm gonna watch that. I am legit gonna watch that because I love women's wrestling. I want to see a pay-per-view of all women. I really want to see if she really can do what she says when she says she wants to see if she can try and get as many different women as possible from different organizations. So that'll be really cool. But I want to see it, and I know we have all women's promotions. Like we said, we have Shimmer, we have stuff like that. We do. That does not mean we're not excited about the new stuff and excited about the old stuff. Support all women's wrestling as much as you can. But Mickey James also, we didn't get to talk about it. She got done really dirty when she got released.
And the thing that blows my mind is that, so when we talk about how we really don't know what happens behind the scenes, that is a perfect example. For those who don't know, Mickey James, upon being released, was sent her belongings. So basically, a handful of talents, especially more established talents, have these lockers, or not lockers, but they have these spaces. I almost think of them like lockers or dressers or whatever in the what's it called? Where the clothes basically where the seamstress people. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that all of that stuff was sent to Mickey in trash bags that were then labeled with a piece of tape that just said Mickey, and none of it was folded. And I'm sure a lot of people could relate. Clothes typically aren't meant to just be thrown into trash bags. That's not the best way to treat them, especially when they're expensive and meant for costumes, like all of Mickey's stuff was. And she posted it. And then there were other people who were posting yep, that's what they did to me too, which blows my mind, how that hadn't come out any sooner than that.
Exactly. And so when she posted it, everybody got pissed because it's oh, that is a performer that worked for you, and then you just treat her like garbage. You throw her stuff in the trash. So WWE said, oh, we'll investigate it. We'll see what happens. What ended up happening is the talent manager, I don't know any of these titles, but Mark Carano got fired. And if you are total Bellas or total Divas, I watch Total Divas, so I know exactly who Mark Carano is. And so I'm not sad about it. I hate to say it, but I'm not sad about it because
you don't need to hate to say it. You could love to say it.
Yeah. So they made a show of it. They they got rid of him to try and appease the masses, but going into what Triple H comments were, it might have been a cut the nose to spite the face type of thing, because it seems like this might be a cultural thing. Triple H,
it is. It's that's the thing that comes across. And I think that some of the comments that I read about even just the trash bag incident was that, a lot of people said a different talent or podcasters who kind of know the situation said when they heard what happened, they knew it was Mark Carano, because apparently he just has a track record of doing really petty stuff like this to talent. So, I mean, they got rid of him. And, we're not a fan of bullies. We don't like to see people being released, but we're not a fan of bullying. And it kind of, feels like bullying, or at least just disrespecting people and not treating them like a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It should. Like, that's just not acceptable.
Yeah. So after the announcement of the All Women's Pay-Per-View by Mickie James, Triple H had some comments.
He did.
Yeah, he said he doesn't believe. Well, let me pull up the quote, the actual quote. When asked about All Women's Pay-Per-View, Triple H.
Do you have a Triple H impression?
No, I do not.
You can't read it in the triple. What were? Go ahead, Mari.
I am not good at impressions, so no, I do not.
Wait. Let me, because I have a quote from him pulled up.
Okay,
and it's Triple H, and I don't have a Triple H impression, but I'm just gonna.
Go.
Haven't we already done them? This is what he said when he was asked about All Women's Pay-Per-Views. Haven't we already done them? It's a funny thing to me. I just don't. So. Equality is equality. Equality is not, I want my own show. Equality is not, we have to have our own program. If I told you that I was making an all men's program, ooh, this pisses me off. So much. This is the worst logic ever. If I told you I was making an all men's program and I didn't want women on it, it would be criticized. There was more. Yeah. There was more. But I don't want to break my voice. So basically what he was saying is like, he thinks it's funny when people say that they want the best talent in the world. And he was saying there's not a chance that Mickey's goal of having people, from different brands because of contracts wasn't going to happen. And it was just kind of negative. And I'm still stuck on like the whole thing. Like if we did this in all men's program, like literally we could point to multiple all men's programs, buddy. Like, I don't know, Mr. Where you've been, but you've literally been on multiple all men's programs, which like maybe you should have spoken up as a main eventer to help change things a lot sooner. But I don't know why I'm very spicy about Triple H today for this.
Yeah, no, I'm really upset about this because we've had all men's pay-per-views. Didn't we had a WrestleMania that he was on that, because if I remember correctly, because one of his matches went too long, the Total Divas women got cut. We saw that on Total Divas before.
We did.
Their match was cut at WrestleMania and it was like the only women's match on the card. So
he needs to apologize.
So what are we talking about here, Triple H? Like, it does not make sense. And
nonsense.
You cannot say that you have equity when you have the best women in the world. I'm not trying to say that to put people down, but so my favorite women's talent are on WWE.
Yeah,
and they are, and but I shouldn't phrase it like he phrased it, like they have the best talent in the world, but they have great women's wrestlers in WWE. But if you look at Raw, which is a 3-hour show, and you total up the women's times versus the men's times, it is nowhere near equity or equality or any of that. So you have no box to stand on in this whole like, oh, if you want your own, that's not equity. It's about giving equal opportunities. You do not give equal opportunities to your female talent, so it just does not make sense. Like this, it doesn't make sense. This what he's trying to point out there.
It's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. And you know what? This is the thing. It's like, imagine. Oh man, I don't know. Like why, but I just feel so connected to the talent today. And maybe that's just like always the way it's been on this podcast, where we've kind of like felt the humans in this situation. But imagine that if you are a woman who is on the roster now and you're hearing this and you're hearing we're probably not going to have our own all women show. Sure, we've had many all men shows without even noticing or caring, or close to all men shows, because many WrestleManias had matches like I think like Ashley Massaro versus Melina might have been one, or different things like that. It took a while for there to be like singles matches for women again at WrestleMania instead of like the group tag team matches or the battle royal matches. It took a while for there to be women's championships again at WrestleMania. Like, this stuff goes really deep, and the fact that he can't see it is kind of concerning, because if you have a boss who is not saying, yes, we want to give a platform to the women because this is something they've been asking for. You know, give divas a chance was the hashtag, but I guess that went out the window in 2016 when it started, or at some point between now and then. But this is nonsense. I don't know how he could get away with saying this, honestly.
Like, what? Yes, with like a straight face. Like,
yeah. On a media call to, like, I think on a call to their investors. Yeah. Or no, I guess to the media, because that's probably what a media call is. I don't know. But like, I'm like, I have to search to see. I need to find out if other people are as upset as we are about this.
I know. It's just really annoying, because we have to beg for 2 women's matches on a WrestleMania card. You know what I'm saying? Like, just at least 2. Triple H knows for takeovers, he'll put 1 women's takeover match on the card and call that Equality versus the men's 4. Like, he needs to look up that word. I don't care. And this just goes to show you why we support the wrestlers as much as we can, but this is why we are not, you know, please don't come into our inboxes calling us WWE stans or shills like that. We don't, you know, we don't ride for this company. We ride for the people in it and the people who make it what it is. So very annoying.
I don't know why, by the way,
face, honestly.
Like, on a light note, you mentioning us not riding for the company gave me this image of like Undertaker early 2000s on his bike, American Badass. Like, I'm just picturing us like just riding down the road on our Harleys or something. Like, that's never gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
So yeah, after we have trashed the company and trashed Triple H,
I mean, trash is trash. Like, trash goes in the trash. So
we have to acknowledge Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny went on LeBron James's show on HBO called The Shop, and while he was there with Jay-Z and LeBron James, he actually showed respect for wrestling and for WWE itself, which is like, I mean, that's all WWE wants. All they want is to cater to mainstream. If you whisper WWE name or Triple H's name, then they'll come trying to get that photo op. Triple H just opened up a Sixers game the other day. I don't know if you saw this, Matt, but Joel Embiid told somebody to suck it, like, during a game. So Triple H, like, they contacted them, and Triple H was able to ring the bell to start the game in a DX shirt with Joel Embiid on it. Like, they are vultures when it comes to trying to get, or leeches when it tries to get themselves in the mainstream media. So this they love this from Bad Bunny. I mostly like this from Bad Bunny because, again, like we have been saying all of season 1, Bad Bunny respects the art of wrestling. You know what I'm saying? He understands. He's one of those celebrities that loves it and understood that it took hard work to actually do it. So in the episode of The Shop, Jay-Z and LeBron are asking Bad Bunny, like, they're like, you were just at WrestleMania, and they're like, you know, they said something like, is it fake or something like that? And Bad Bunny was like, no. He's like, no, it's real. He said, I was training, I was taking bumps, and it hurt. He's like, and he thought, I don't know how people could do this for 30 years. And he was talking about how he moved to Orlando, Florida for 3 months to train. And it was just amazing to hear, because, again, like, go back and listen to our coverage, but we love that Bad Bunny storyline from the beginning. And Bad Bunny showed out at WrestleMania. Like, he showed out. He literally set the bar very high for celebrity appearances.
Yeah. And I think, like, in watching this clip, my brain broke because I was so confused. I was just like, wait, LeBron James and Jay-Z are in the same room with Bad Bunny talking about WWE, Maybe they want to come on the podcast at some point. But I will say with Bad Bunny, I was like, I could picture Bad Bunny in like one of those Hugh Hefner red smoking jacket robe things with like a pipe and probably like a British accent talking about wrestling, because he's a wrestling connoisseur. He's a wrestling connoisseur, and we appreciate that about Bad Bunny. But also like Jay-Z, Beyonce. Oh my God. I think we might see her at WrestleMania one day. We've seen like Kelly, I think, and Michelle, or we've definitely seen Michelle perform America the Beautiful. So who knows? Yeah, back a long time ago.
Chloe and Halle did too. What was that? SummerSlam?
Are they friends with Beyonce though?
Oh my God, Matt! The Hive is coming for you. What do you mean? Beyonce like discovered them.
The Hive is not listening to this podcast like that.
I hope so.
Maybe they will because we're going there. Wait. Wow, I have a lot of questions. But I also.
Are you shocked?
But I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I mean, because I didn't really. I just look. Beyonce is on another level. I do think she probably walked into that barbershop after the fact. I'm just picturing like Bad Bunny trying to convince them all to join WWE.
Hilarious.
But actually, on that note, as like a side note of something, there've been rumblings about Cardi B. Yes. On a different note, I know we weren't there's so much that's been going on in the world of wrestling between our last podcast and now, but like I feel like I just want WWE to like, they have Bad Bunny, maybe Ronda Rousey will come back. But I want them to just like continuously level up in terms of the celebrities they have, because then we could see these like dream crossovers that we never thought that we'd see. Beyonce
ain't getting nowhere near that ring. But yeah, there are rumors. Cardi B's Up. It's looking like it might be the theme song for SummerSlam. Yep. And Cardi, I think we talked about it. I think we may have talked about it on the podcast. Cardi showed some love to the WWE a few months back, like right before WrestleMania.
I think it was. I don't think it was love.
No, she did. She did. That's how that all started, because Cardi was saying she liked some people, and then a certain Southern Belle decided to say something really stupid, and then
that's the part Cardi I remember.
So we talked about that. But yeah, Cardi said she had love for WWE. So I'd be cool to see her at SummerSlam. I think it's in Las Vegas this year. So I mean, celebrity crossovers, you either love them or you hate them. That's all it is. You either love them or you hate them. I just like them to be good. So if they're good,
totally.
If they're not, I will not like them. But I'm definitely not going to sit here and gatekeep, because that's how wrestling becomes stifled. That's how the community becomes stifled. But yeah, Bad Bunny on the shop, that was great. I love how LeBron like nonchalantly was like, oh yeah, I used to mess with wrestling heavy, and my brain just snapped back to that meme that goes around of LeBron, like young LeBron James, 18, right as he just got into the league, in the front row of a WWE show with his flip phone taking pictures. You've never seen this meme?
No.
Matt? Oh my God, it's
this is why we co-host the podcast, because you've seen it, so I don't need to. There's probably stuff I've seen that we're balancing each other out, Mari. It works.
Yeah. So
a flip phone though.
It's LeBron James with a flip phone, and he's in a WWE crowd, and he's recording like The Rock or something, and he just looks like so so excited. And it's when he was like 18. It's like right when he went into the league. And people normally doctor it up with like hearts and stuff. And then there's video of him like once he takes the picture. I think it's either Stone Cold or The Rock stop and let him take the picture. Then once he takes the picture, he's like posting with it.
I feel like I've had to see this before.
It's very famous. But just finally, real quickly, let's wrap up this news section. We just want to say rest in power to New Jack. that I can't remember if he passed. I think he passed during our hiatus, right? We didn't. Yeah,
He
okay.
did.
So yeah, just condolences to his family. He was like a titan in the biz. He was also like very what's the word? Polarizing. Yes, yes. I didn't realize all of the stuff that he's done for the wrestling community until I watched his Dark Side of the Ring, and his Dark Side of the Ring is really, really good. If you haven't heard of it, Dark Side of the Ring is a wrestling. It's a docu series about wrestling, and it's normally on Vice TV. You can also find it on YouTube at Vice, and it's just this really good, well done reenactments of different things that have happened in the wrestling world. Have you ever seen Dark Side of the Ring?
Oh yeah. I just was watching one that was like about WWE's trip to North Korea, or not WWE, but I think it was like WC or who? No, I don't even remember. It was like a weird trip to North Korea in the early 90s or so, and like Eric Bischoff and others were there, and it was just very bizarre. Honestly, the biggest I liked that so much, and it's funny because like when I think of that, I don't even think of the show itself. I think of like podcasts and stuff that I heard covering it after, and then I fell down a rabbit hole of learning about the incident. And like Scott Norton was a wrestler at the time who almost got probably killed and imprisoned for like talking to his wife about just like, I don't even know what he said, but yeah, a scary situation. They made it out alive. And I'm a fan of Dark Side of the Ring. Would encourage people to check it out.
Dark Side of the Ring, it's really good. They've covered stories. They've covered Owen Hart. They've covered Chris Benoit. They just recently did Ultimate Warrior, which was interesting. They covered the stabbing of Bruiser Brody.
Boozy Brody. Oh my. Bruiser Brody.
Yes.
Easy for us to say.
Yeah, they've covered the Fabulous Moolah. So they've
gone all over the place.
They've done a whole bunch of stuff. It's really, really good. So go check it out. I think they did Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage as well. Also, what had premiered during our hiatus in that same vein is A&E has been doing WWE bios on different WWE legends. They did Stone Cold, they did Booker T, they've done a few people. So it's really good. It's very well. I love A&E because they do really good documentaries. And so they presented the WWE bios like really like in such a professional way, like very professional. So it's WWE biography on like A&E. So those are really good to check those out. So
yeah, and that I'll say out of the two, I am more of a fan of Dark Side of the Ring, just because I feel like it gives you a look into the things you don't necessarily see or know about. And like, as for us, oh my gosh, I've never said this before, but between the two of us, we have more than 40 years of wrestling fandom. And like the fact that we are still learning and experiencing new things is part of the magic of some of these shows. So check them out, and you could learn more about like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Mick Foley, all of those people, especially if you kind of missed them the first time around, or if you're more of a casual and don't know anything about them, which it would be shocking.
Yes. So that's it for our freezing cold takes of the news that we've missed since we've been gone. Coming up, we'll do the highlights of the hiatus. Okay, so again, we've been gone. We're back now. And we're back to talk about some of the highlights of all of the wrestling shows during our hiatus. So first off, we have to talk about AEW Double or Nothing.
Yes.
We, of course, as soon as it happened, we got a lot of people reaching out to us wanting to hear our thoughts. Shout out to Force of Will on Twitter. This card, this was one of those cards where it was just, they structured it in such a way that it did not feel like there was ever a lull. It was really good structuring.
Yeah, and honestly, Mari, I'll be real with you. I, in just thinking about my thoughts about this pay-per-view, I am not being deliberately exaggerative right now, but I'm feeling like I'm just feeling like the tears welling up in my eyes a little bit. This was such a beautiful show. It was beautiful. Like it reminded me of like the things I love about wrestling. And it reminded me that wrestling could definitely be like, yes, there are elements that are similar to WWE, but this was definitely not WWE. And I don't know if it was the fact that we really started watching during the pandemic when it was kind of like that weird crowd situation. But this, like, I really felt like everyone that we saw looked like stars in a way like they hadn't before. And I'm like, just like, hats off to all of them for all of that, because this show was impressive.
Yeah. Having the fans back, like we said with WrestleMania, just does make it feel different. It makes it feel huge. It makes it feel bigger. I'm still in my like PTSD of the panoramic, but like seeing all those people together is just still kind of like, like I'm still kind of like,
yeah, but I will say, yes. And the other thing that kind of like hit me was the fact that, like, for me, I couldn't shake that feeling for WrestleMania. The first watch, I was just kind of like, is everyone gonna be okay? Like, we did the stereo podcast after, and like, I'm sure I probably could have gone into much more, but I was doing an Instagram takeover that first night, because you did it the second night for RHAP and RHAPgrams, and like, I had to stop posting for like a few matches because I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I'm worried. These people are too close together. Where are their masks? That man needs to put his mask on. That man needs to put his mask on. That one needs to put his mask on. But vaccines are more of a thing now too. And so it felt better than WrestleMania did. But yeah, I'm with you with a little bit of that discomfort.
Yeah, and I get it. I just, again, like I said, if you can go out there, get vaccinated so we can, end this thing.
Yeah.
But it is just like, whew, I was like, these people are so close. These people are so close. But I get it.
I know.
So,
honestly, I know they like just give like one more seat between them, like a little bit, just a little bit. We didn't need that. Like space it out. Like, remember social distancing? Like, that's not a bad thing. We didn't used to be like close talkers. Nobody loves a close talker. That they were like closer than close talkers in that crowd. So, honestly, like, just like leave some room for Jesus, basically, is the thing that comes to mind.
Leave some room for Jesus.
Yes.
But I will say the first match.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Hangman Adam Page came out first person to walk through the curtain. It was him versus Brian Cage, and that was deliberate. Like we were kind of saying with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, Drew never got his like WrestleMania moment in front of fans. And I think this was the same type of scenario. They put Adam Page, Hangman out there first because they knew it popped the crowd. They want to see the crowd reaction to Hangman. And I mean, wow, he got a great reaction. Of course, he beat Brian Cage, and the match was serviceable. But I think the biggest thing is that Hangman Page he's a star. He's on the rise with audience back. I think they'll finally start pushing him to maybe take it all from Kenny Omega in the future. I'm just so excited. I love Hangman Page. I don't know what it is about him, but he really is a star. He really is a draw. And he is one of the things about AEW that I really do like. And I really want to see where he goes from here.
I wasn't really feeling Hangman, aka Hangman. They say it like different. They say it like Hangman and Hangman, and it's like funny. that it goes back and forth depending on the commentator. But Hangman Adam Page was just not my vibe. Actually, a lot of people I feel like I didn't vibe with as much until I saw them in front of this crowd, because it really felt like a big deal. And I honestly, like, when I saw, first of all, this match was so weird because having Taz on commentary talking about Brian Cage, who of course was part of Team Taz and all of that stuff, was just so strange. But Brian Cage, I did not recognize him when he walked out on the stage because he looked like a freaking gladiator. But wow, this was I think the right match to open the show.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief.
Give it
with Hangman Page,
spill the tea.
Christian Cage. There's so many of that type.
Why are you gonna do that?
I hate to say it, but I
didn't realize it though.
Cage was, because then Sting and Darby Allin, who did they? Ethan Page? Did they go? Like, I think Brian Cage and Christian Cage and Ethan Cage are probably gonna have, if this were WWE, there would be like a family angle. Like we would see Brian Cage and Christian Cage, like maybe like Christian would be like the father, and then like Brian Cage and Ethan Cage. See, and then that's the other thing. It's like Cage versus Page. Like, how do you not mess that up? So this was really overwhelming. Yes, good point though. I'm never gonna unsee that, and I hope no one uses the last name Cage ever again after these three people we mentioned. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was just like, I was confused, even though I've been like kind of keeping up with clips, like just getting myself like to figure out Double or Nothing or whatever, like who's going to be facing who. I was confused with Brian Cage because I wasn't sure if he was the one who was gonna be, or who had previously that did battle with Darby Allin and Sting. I was so confused, but I do know I like Hangman. I am a Hangman fan, so that's what I basically took away from that.
Wait, I'm so confused. Because wait, okay. Oh my gosh, Mari.
What?
So wrestling probably has a ton of cages, beyond the steel cages and Hell in a Cell. Shout out to next week's podcast. But that's so we have Hangman Page. We also have Ethan Page.
Yes.
There's a wrestler named Ethan Cage.
Yes.
There's also Brian Cage.
Yes.
And then there's Christian Cage.
Yes.
There's also Paige, who retired a few years ago. Shout out to Paige.
Yeah.
Let's retire this. Let's retire the age thing in names. Yeah. This is actually blowing my mind a little bit. I'm overwhelmed.
I'm surprised you haven't seen that.
I just hadn't thought about it though. Like, it didn't occur to me, and now I literally can't unsee it. So now everyone's probably tuning out of the podcast, annoyed that I can't unsee it. But anything else on that match, Brian Cage versus Adam Hangman Page?
No, nothing else.
It broke me. You broke me.
Yeah, I know. I know. You're like, I can see like the steam coming out of your ears and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, nothing from that match. Next up, we do have the battle royale, the casino battle royale.
Yes, let's go Vegas.
Yeah, I love a good battle royale style where we have like the different entrances and stuff like that. So I did like this. Lots of people in it. I'm not about to sit here and go over all the names. Sorry, guys. Again, this is a freezing cold take. It's
There's Google, or you probably saw this a few weeks ago. But if you want to remind yourself, Google is your best friend. So
yes. And so two things that to come up out of this. Jungle Boy won the Casino Battle Royale. So this is what I love about the Casino Battle Royale is whoever wins automatically gets a shot at the title. It's way better than like the Andre the Giant Memorial one, because that's just basically kind of like fluff. You get a trophy and that's it. So I love that whoever wins actually gets a shot at the title. much like Royal Rumble. So Jungle
Yeah.
Boy wins. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
But also, Lio Rush debuted as the Joker, and I'm pretty sure we said it on this podcast, or at least I know. Maybe I said it on a challenge podcast, but I am
Huh?
a big Lio Rush fan. I was really sad when he got out when he like was ousted from WWE. I've been following him online. I do he was on the challenge, and he's been really open about his mental health. And
Yeah.
as a Black man, I so appreciate when people are open like that. So
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Lio Rush.
Really?
um
Wow. And it's funny
yeah.
because I haven't like given Lio Rush that much time. And I grew up as a challenge fan, but I haven't been watching the last like handful of seasons, like in the 30s. I haven't watched that, which is where we've really seen a lot of the crossovers. But I saw the Challenge Mania podcast hosted by Derek Kaczynski, I believe. There was an interview with Lio Rush that I haven't listened to, so I'll go back and listen to that, because I think the problem is that, like, you mentioned the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and I want to contrast that a little bit with this. And also contrast how WWE approaches things with this, because like with WWE, they will do a lot on screen that just feels really petty. They won't take that extra step of making everyone look like stars. Like for a lot of battle royals, we've all seen it. They have people start in the ring, and you barely know who's there before they're thrown out. And in the case of Lio Rush, to kind of like look at his case specifically, they absolutely underutilized Lio Rush in WWE, and it's sad. And I remember reading and listening to different things. He's always been very vocal, even while he was under contract. But talking about how there were just different, like they were kind of punishing him for different stuff.
They were like,
and it's like and that's the problem maybe with like having so much money, that you could afford to have people under contract and just like punish them and make them look silly, or like rib them on screen, like, which literally makes no sense and is not good for the business, and is probably good to like, stroke some egos of people in charge backstage. But it's rough. And I think, we did see Lio Rush show up. He came to collect, which was great.
I love it.
But it's sad. But it's sad
So
though.
it is, because later on in the card, I'll put it here, we got an introduction that Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, is now with AEW too.
That was amazing.
It was a shock. I did not know that he wasn't under contract with WWE. Like, I'm a little confused about that. He has been a talent finder for WWE for years now. He is the one who found Bianca Belair, and he was the one who found Braun Strowman.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And a few other people. Those are his like claims to fame. So he was like a talent scout for WWE. Had no idea he wasn't under contract. The weird thing though about this is Mark Henry and Lio Rush have had public feuds. And
a lot of beef.
A lot of beef. And I must say that from everything that I've seen about it, I have always been on Leo's side. And Mark seems to be one of those people who was enmeshed in the business for so long that he started to kind of take on some of the views of the business.
Old school.
Exactly. Old school. So once they both premiered the same night, I was like, okay, well, all right. And then unfortunately, 6 days later, we get a tweet from Lio Rush saying that he has retired from wrestling. So it's so annoying, because I was so excited to see if he could do something else on a big screen, like AEW with more exposure. But I think the biggest thing is what we've seen with Lio Rush. He knows that if the situation is not going to work for him, especially like mental health wise, then he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And I respect that. Like a lot of people can say that that's like, you know, being a punk or whatever, but like, I respect that he's not going to sit here and put himself in a situation that he's going to feel uncomfortable. And again, we don't know if any of this is related to Mark Henry. We, you know, we really don't. But Lio Rush is on record and saying that he will do what was comfortable for him and for his family. So,
and he also had, like, shout out to him. He also had, and I think really the bigger reason, maybe the main reason, as far as I understand it, that he's retiring is like a long-standing shoulder injury that maybe he re-aggravated it or something. Yeah. So I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that he's going to have some more matches because he did have some other commitments. And so he will still have a few matches, I think, I want to say with New Japan, or in Japan. But yeah, I think with New Japan. Anyway, you know, it's like, it's hard to see talent wasted going back to the releases that we were talking about, but you know, that's kind of life. And I think the cool thing about Lio Rush is that he does have this upside and potential beyond pro wrestling itself. Like, we've already seen him doing the reverse Miz, I'll call it. And we've already, you know, he's done rap. He'll be okay. He'll be in a good place. He'll be in a good place. And hopefully his mental health is also going to be in a good place.
Exactly. Shout out to him.
Yes.
So, next up, we did have the match with Kofi versus Anthony and Gogo.
We missed a lot. We missed, the match. Yeah. So I think that the match did its job. The match did its job because I didn't even realize this until like afterwards, like literally 2 days ago. But you know, Anthony, our friend Anthony Ogogo, Olympian, which I think I heard in passing but didn't realize, like, he was in the 2012 Olympics. So shout out to Kurt Angle, and he's the new age Kurt Angle. I get the reverse Kurt Angle. I don't know. We'll workshop that later. But anyway, like, I'm amazed because he's also the first developmental talent within AEW, and to put him in this position to really shine, or at least be featured alongside Cody, I think is cool. The circumstances were really strange because there might have been a little bit of xenophobia in there, but
a very,
you know, I wasn't. Yes, yeah, and it's weird because it's like that promo still kind of throws me off because I heard the controversy about it before I watched it, and then I watched it and I was like, what's the problem? He's just saying that America's great, but like, actually it was a lot. It's kind of darker than that. You know, it's like we're kind of tired of the foreign heel trope, and it's also weird because we didn't get like the stereotypes that we have often gotten in wrestling with the foreign heel. And so it was like this very subtle thing. And even in watching the match, I was really listening to the crowd because, again, we had that full crowd, so you could gauge how people are reacting. And the crowd reaction was strange. Like, I think that Anthony Ogogo is clearly the heel in that situation, but also Cody Rhodes is kind of feeling like this Triple H sort of role in my mind, where it's like, you know, I think that AEW fans are really loyal and supportive of all of the talent, and I think that came through on this show. But yeah, Cody should definitely be more of a heel. Like, I'm just surprised that you know, with like that bright blonde hair and all of that American like stuff, like he's Kurt Angle or like he's Jack Swagger, or like he's Uncle Sam, like that just seems like a heel thing to me, to hit people over the head with that. But you know, I do appreciate that he is now we've known him as the American Nightmare, but he's calling himself the American Dream, which is bold. Bold.
Yeah, it's just yeah. So that the promo for me not only the foreign heel trope, but just basically Cody saying like America is not as bad as it is. See, because I have a black wife and we're having a daughter who's half black, half white. See, racism is over. And it's just like, I know he didn't mean it like that, because he's come out several times afterwards that he didn't mean it like that, and that he workshopped the promo with different people. But I could guarantee
I didn't need the explanation.
That all those people probably looked exactly alike. But it's just like very like I don't know if you saw this, Matt, but Jesse Kamea from WWE tweeted "In racism, make mixed babies," when it's like
I did see that.
Guys, that's not how that works. Like, and we've been on and off Cody's neck for how him and Brandy talk about race and racism and all of that stuff. So it's just like hopefully Cody just stay away from this. Like, just you tried. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, which is
focus group. Focus groups. Corporate. And the thing that okay, so wait, to address your point, the thing that I think the problem with this promo especially is like, if it were for the two of us as an audience, like if we were the audience, I think we could get what he's saying and maybe like not, it doesn't feel as offensive. But then when you think about who the audience is, like, and I say this all the time when we talk about issues on podcasts and stuff, but it's like, we need to be explicitly clear about what we're saying because people don't always get it. And so you have people who are like, oh, okay, I get it. That's like, cool. Like, yeah, American Dream. Like, oh, but it was actually, it was like the worst. It was a weird promo that turned Anthony Ogogo into a heel kind of, but it just wasn't necessary. But even more, I don't need to know that you have focus groups for this. This is not the corporation. We don't need Pat Patterson or Gerald Briscoe standing around like that. Look, I just have quite. That's just so uncool. I just like the mystique behind like, Cody wrote that promo. It wasn't a focus group.
I don't mind focus groups, but
you love focus groups. Tell me you love focus groups.
I love focus groups, but don't tell me you have a focus group after you put out.
Tell me you love focus groups without telling me you love focus groups.
Because tell me what your focus group looks like without telling me what your focus group looks like. It's that promo. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. So let's just, the
we're so corporate. Yeah, let's move on. This is
that match did what it needed to do. I think Anthony Ogogo is a star in the making. He held up really well against Cody. So hopefully we'll get some more, hopefully not between the two of them, because that just let's just keep going with Anthony. Let's keep going.
I want to be in one of those focus groups.
Right. So let's go to what I would say was the highlight of what I liked about the pay-per-view. The AEW Women's Championship match with Hikaru Shida, who was the champion, versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
Get that degree.
I know. Shida had been the champion for a year. Like, what is time? Like, what is time?
Let's not. Honestly, it's like, none of it makes any sense at all.
This past year and a half has just been, it really does feel like the blip. Like, I think we talked about it before. It feels like the blip in in the MCU. Like, it was there, we were there, a whole year passed, and then now we're here. Like, it's just crazy. So
just talking about it is even confusing me more about time.
It's Avenger rules for the time
I
jumping.
guess so.
So Shida had been the champion for a year. At her year anniversary, they gave her a new belt, which it was pretty. It looked like the old belt but bigger. or something. Did you see that? It was like they presented her a new belt like a week or so ago before this, and it was nice. The belt's nice. I mean, the belt's always been nice. I guess it's just bigger. I don't know, but anyway, Sheeta versus Britt Baker. The match itself was good. It was just I still go back to the Baker Thunder Rosa match, which was really good, like minus the blood. I told you guys, I'm not a blood person, so when the blood came out, I actually thought the match got a little bit more squeamish for me. I couldn't do it. I actually liked the match without the blood. So this one just kind of didn't have much fire between the two of them. Enough fire, but I think again it did what it needed to do because Britt Baker won the championship. This is her first AEW Women's Championship. They have been building her character up for years now. Like Britt Baker is it. She will be the draw. If you're gonna get me to watch AEW like every week, you need to be putting Britt Baker on there every week. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So honestly.
Let me just build on that though, because one thing I thought about with this show, and I kind of had to step back from some of the things that we might criticize or be frustrated about with AEW, like lack of diversity in a lot of the card and in just a lot of the roster and who they feature. But I kind of feel like, and I mean, I think there are other people who are more qualified in terms of knowing AEW to say this, but I just kind of feel like in a lot of wrestling, there's a gap in terms of how like Asian performers are represented or what their characters look like or how they're used. And I think there's a huge gap in terms of like understanding how to make that work in a really effective way, or like trusting the performer to do what worked for them. Like if it's someone who's from Japan, like in Japan, and I kind of feel like this with Britt Baker, where like I think they get Britt Baker and they get what Britt Baker is. Yes. Britt Baker isn't necessarily like I think there are a lot of very talented people who could be considered the best woman on the roster, but that's just a frustration I have. Like, I'm concerned a little bit that they don't in AEW or really in a lot of wrestling companies, but we know this about WWE already, but also in AEW that they don't really know how to use people of color really effectively. And maybe this overlaps with the Anthony Ogogo talk about like foreign heel trope, but I don't know. I'm watching, I'm taking it in, not jumping to conclusions, but
I can agree with that. But I can agree with that. I do think, and this is somebody who dips their toe in and out of AEW. I do think Sheeta's run has been better than Asuka's run per se.
Oh,
right. Yes. Exactly. So, AEW is doing something right in that sense because she was very prominently featured as the champion. I don't remember any of her storylines really.
Yeah, so like character work.
Character wise, yes, the character work is very much lacking. I get that, but again, maybe we just missed something. Please let us know. Feel free to let us know.
I mean, Britt has been featured and had a spot, and
everywhere. And I think it's because it's kind of easy. Like I think during the match, I think during the match, I think JR somebody was just saying what was it? I was watching with people, so maybe one of my people said it. But anyways, but like that whole dentist thing, like who would have known like a dentist gimmick would have gotten over? But it is so over. And again, it's easier to digest because Britt Baker can actually do that character. That's her. It's her. It's not. It's her to 11. You know, it's Britt Baker to 11.
I'm just like
she is a DMD. So
Mari, I'm gonna say this because I realized it just was creepy, but I just was like, oh yeah, who wouldn't want like Britt Baker's fingers in their mouth? But that's like I don't think I necessarily want that. But I do actually need a new dentist, so Maybe I'll be making a trip down to Florida to Daly's place to like wait outside. Like you were outside with like Liv and Ruby. I want to be outside with my teeth shining and
check
with her tools. Please make sure I don't make
Brett,
cavities.
Brett,
but like that's have we talked about teeth yet on this podcast?
I don't know, but
hopefully not. Someone lost some teeth earlier this year. I don't remember. Long time ago.
Asuka did.
Asuka.
Yeah, Shayna knocked out.
But just on that point of the teeth and Britt, I want to just underscore too, like we get it. Like where else is there a dentist wrestler who is just like shining and featured? And I think that there's that built-in story. So how could you not feature Britt Baker and then, build in the charisma and the in-ring skill? And I get it, but I just want to see them too. Yeah, and the pandemic. But actually to that point, that's the point I want to make about this. I thought that this was a really great crowning moment for Britt. This is also where I kind of started to notice on the card that like there were a lot of different interferences happening throughout the show. But you know what? We're going to just let that go.
Yeah. I mean, at least
people are getting paid.
Yeah. I mean, Rebel has been not Reba. Has
both
been
specifically Rebel, not Reba. Yeah.
Yeah, it's her kind of like her dental assistant. So it was great. I good for Britt. Good for her winning that championship in front of a crowd, getting that pop. I want to see her do great things.
Yes, pop off. And speaking of pop off, taking it to like the next match that kind of stood out to me, the AEW championship match with Kenny Omega, the champion, with the bastard Pac versus Freshly Squeezed. Ooh, I love that. Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy. I don't know who came up with that, but that person deserves a raise and a statue, like a big statue, like that Andre the Giant statue, because that's amazing. But we saw Kenny Omega successfully defend his championship in that match, pinning Orange Cassidy. And I wrote this down because I just like how this is framed. But JR, the voice of the people, Jim Ross, said in like the pre-match promo, Kenny, I'm not going to do a JR. I'm even going to attempt a JR accent. It's been a while. We'll get to that later in this season. But Kenny has become an arrogant, overbearing prick. And I just like, to me, it's so... this crowd actually did so much work for me seeing these performers differently, because this is the time to have Kenny Omega in the spot that he's in, because, Kenny Omega, like Mr. 7 stars, Dave Meltzer's favorite person on earth. Right. And, I think that it was cool to see Kenny kind of, featured as this heel and also winning in a very heel fashion. And then also, we know that Kenny is not only the AEW World Champion, but also the AAA Mega Champion and the Impact World Champion. So I'm into this.
Yeah, and on top of that, it was just announced that it's tonight, the Against All Odds TNA pay-per-view. Will feature Kenny Omega versus Moose on that for the Impact Championship, and then whoever wins that will go on to face Sami Callihan at Slammiversary later on in the summer.
On a side note, I do think, because you mentioned Moose, I just remembered that there was another Moose again about 10 years ago in Impact. And it was an indie wrestler. Her name's Mickey Knuckles. And she was Moose. And yes, this is the thing. So I just think they need to switch up people's names. This is getting confusing. Like the Cages, the Mooses, the Meese. Like, come on. My brain, it will break. Yes. I don't need it.
So, I mean, Kenny's doing the thing. He has all the championships. So he is like... he's going all around. AAA also, they announced their next pay-per-view, but it had like the poster had like kind of like all ex like WWE people and stuff on it. So they're talking about that. I have to look more into it, but yeah, Kenny, this match was just very hard hitting. A lot of people landing on their necks. I was like, you know,
yeah, not cute. Not cute.
But you know, the result, the only downside of Kenny having so many championships, having so many things planned out for an advance, you know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? You know Kenny's gonna win. So you know, that kind of takes away from it a little bit, but no matter what, it was a great, you know, it was a great match. We see Orange Cassidy in there, you know, Pac, like it's just a great triple threat with people like just with good styles that mix. So
yeah, and like the last thing I'll say on this is that I really feel like this was the first time, because of the pandemic. I mean, there were moments, right, as AEW was getting started, of course, where we did get to see Kenny Omega in this US context, but it was also like not the heel character and not fully fleshed out. And so this was refreshing. Like I really felt like this was the first time, again, in the US context, that I got a sense for like, ooh, Kenny Omega. Like I thought that he might have peaked with just some of the stuff a few years ago and the 5-star, 7.2 star matches, but it was, yeah, this was nice. I'm excited to see more of Kenny Omega, which feels good because he's on top of 3 promotions right now. So
yeah, he's doing a good job for his heel character. Like you want to see who's going to topple him. You know,
totally.
And that's exactly what you need to be doing. So
totally, and yet you love him at the same time. Like he's just so great to watch.
It'll definitely be interesting to see who is going to take these championships away from him. All right, and finally, we got
Stadium Stampede. Yeah, I don't know what this.
I didn't know what that was going to entail. The Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready, and I loved, like, when I talk about what I love about wrestling and the things like this I wasn't ready for it. It was everything I wanted and needed and more. It was things that I didn't know that I wanted and needed. First of all, okay, so the Pinnacle, or MJF, really shows up in a stretch limo for this match. Later, we saw like the rest of the Pinnacle in terms of Shawn Spears and Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler and Wardlow and Tully show up in like the
individual rooms,
their own car, and everyone was in their individual rooms, right? But like, what was going on? Like because again, like because I didn't watch this in real time or live. I saw the Inner Circle repelling from the sky, but it was like also like the slowest burn, like coming down. Like I think they probably cut some out because they're like, yeah, we thought that this would be more like a zip line than like a
actual
just kind
rappel,
of goofily falling. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was nice to. I did too. And they landed, and then there was like fire and like trash cans of fire in front of Sammy and Chris Jericho and Hager and Santana and Ortiz. So that was like literally like just the first 2 minutes. But wow, like this was kind of a cinematic match, and not in a goofy way, but like this was it. I loved it,
match, and it was really good. And I love cinematic matches. I think the pandemic has actually really shown us like what you can really do cinematically. Like they've had to step up their game when it comes to stuff like that.
This reminds me of the cinematic match between the Viking Raiders and why am I blanking right now?
Profits, right?
The Street Profits. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Angelo and Montez. And so but this was like, that huge, turned up to like 25.
Yeah. This was great. Like, I mean, they had full run of the stadium. Like, case closed.
What the heck?
Like, full run of the stadium. I'm not gonna lie, I really, really liked Shawn Spears, like just being in that chair room. Like I was a big Ty Dillinger fan in WWE, like a huge Ty Dillinger fan in WWE.
10.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
it's nothing.
so seeing him just sit
Love
in
that
that, like
guy.
just sitting in that, I know, sitting in that room with the chair looking ominous. They did a great like camera shot of him. I was like, oh my God, this is cool as fuck.
No, but like the thing that I love, like 10. Okay, wait. The thing I loved, Mari, the disco nightclub DJ'd by Conan.
I didn't even
Like
realize
what?
that was him. Yeah.
What the? First of all, like I know I was actually really happy to see him because I feel like I've always seen him in like these very random / fringe promotions. I think like I think there's a story from I want to say the 90s of like there was some conversation about him signing with WWE and or like he was reaching out and like someone didn't know who he was, or I don't remember the details of that. But I loved seeing him here and kind of getting just a little bit of like acknowledgement and respect. And he's never been like to me, he actually reminds me a little bit of Eddie Kingston, where we just didn't, like this is Eddie Kingston shining. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get Conan like around a ton, but I loved what we got here. And I was look, I would have been in that nightclub, very socially distanced. There was no one else there. So I don't know why he was DJing in the first place, but it looks like a good time. And there was a conference room and this was a lot, but oh my God.
Why was there a DJ nightclub in the building? More like
that's just for the Jaguars, like post game. That's probably what they're into. No, that was a lot, but I will say the thing that I probably appreciate most about this match is the fact that because it was like a cinematic match, which like probably not the best way to describe it. It like that's a term that WWE kind of made us think about, but it's just a match. I would assume that like most of this was pre-recorded, which means, I hope that like, we did see the part at the end where they kind of made their way into the arena, which was nice. But like beyond that, I just like this idea that, like they had some time and space to record these things and they didn't have to like choreograph, like a match where there are camera people running around like crazy to capture everything. And so I love this match. And it's like it fills a certain spot in your, as a fan. Like it's not Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, shout out. But it is it's something.
Yeah,
and I loved it.
It's something.
That's
like I love when wrestling doesn't take itself too seriously, and I felt like this match did a great job of not taking itself too seriously while also being serious. How did you feel about Inner Circle winning? I mean, again, Sammy Guevara seems to be like he's going to be the breakout like babyface and stuff like that, but I was rooting for the Pinnacle. But I think they won the War Games match, right? Pinnacle won War Games or something. I can't remember. Did they?
I was just happy. I was just happy to. I think that the good thing about Inner Circle winning is like we'll still see them around. We'll still see them together, and this is like the long term, long burn storytelling. So yeah, give this to us. Like
I think
I'm
that's
okay with
why
it.
I'm kind of like that's why, and I agree. Like, because if Inner Circle lost, that meant they'd have to disband. And honestly, I was kind of hoping for that because the Inner Circle's been on TV. They've been a stable on AEW basically since the inception, like only a few months after its inception, whatever. But I feel like I would be more keen to root for Sammy and Ortiz and Santana over anybody else in that group. You know what I'm saying? So I would have liked for the Pinnacle to win, not only so that the Pinnacle can become the new villainous stable, like the legit villainous stable, take over that Inner Circle role, and then have the members of Inner Circle disband and then go on to push Santana and Ortiz into the tag team division, push Sammy as a solo act, have Jericho just stand there with Hagar and Wardlow, whatever. but
it'll happen. Like they do things very slowly. They do things very slowly and intentionally in AEW. But I appreciate the pace of it, especially like for us, like to keep up with all of it. Like it's nice that these stories have legs and a lot of beats to them. And so I'm not complaining. I'm just curious to see how it continues to unfold.
Yeah, and so the Pinnacle did win at the Blood and Guts. So, yeah, I guess it makes sense, the 50-50. So yeah, other than that, we got a great match out of it. So let's see. Yep, so that's for AEW Double or Nothing. Again, our freezing cold takes. There's been a lot that's happened since then. We just wanted to address the pay-per-view itself. So look out for our next episodes, our next few episodes. We'll dip back in and out of AEW like we did in the first season. So after this, we'll just go in and we'll talk about, we have to get to the Raw, SmackDown, and everything else that we missed during the hiatus. Okay, so Raw during this break, during our hiatus, Raw has been the thing that I've least watched. Like, to be 100, like I never watch Raw live. I don't. I record it on my DVR and I fast forward through that thing.
It's been a drag.
It really has been. And this is again, this is just that time of the year. This is the time of the year where after WrestleMania, you kind of get that lull. You get that lull till they figure out what they want to do for like SummerSlam or whatever else is coming up. It's just, we had the WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view a few weeks after WrestleMania, and it was literally just a whole bunch of rehashes from WrestleMania. Nothing really exciting. That's why we didn't do like a pay-per-view reaction for it.
Yeah,
because I mean, again, it's that time of the year. It happens.
I'll just say, and I don't think we're gonna have a ton to say about this, but
not at all.
It is wild, like going from like the energy of everything we've talked about to talking about this. It actually says a lot. It says a lot about how things have been going the last couple months, and I don't get what WWE is doing. Like, this is not to like, and just in general, because they have all of this amazing talent and they have all of these resources, but they can't figure out how to put it together, especially when it comes to Raw.
Yeah. So, the biggest thing that, I mean, I guess like I want to address about Raw is Bobby Lashley and MVP have been putting in work since WrestleMania. We talked about how like we were really liking and digging Hurt Business like right before Bobby won the championship. The only general problem is Bobby is still entangled with Drew McIntyre. We plan in this section, guys, we're back. We're just having a quick kiki, really. We're gonna get into the real storylines on our Hell in a Cell prediction podcast that we will record later on in the week, so it's posted before Hell in a Cell. So we're not going to get into any deep storylines this week. We will have some highlights in our story notes, but it's not going to be that many because we're just chatting. We're cool.
We're having a good time. Just kiki.
Yeah. So Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre are still going at it, and they're gonna go at it at Hell in a Cell, and it's just kind of annoying because I want Bobby to move on because he all of a sudden he started showing up to Raw with all these women on his arm, and it was just, I was like, wait, what happened? And it was because like MVP was like servicing with him with women, and where are they coming?
What?
I don't know.
Servicing.
Those first batch of women, they were like primo. Like MVP got he got like all shades, he got all thicknesses. Like MVP did the dang thing. The second week, not as flavorful. I'm not sitting here trying to dog anything out.
How
but
dare you, Mari?
MVP
They're
needed
all
to stick his game
lovely.
back up.
They're all lovely and talented. I have questions though, because like this past week, I think I was watching a segment, and you could tell when they. Well, actually, I was a little confused because like sometimes when they have extras on, you could tell that it's a wrestler. Like there was this.
I don't think these are wrestlers.
No. There was one woman. This is where it went through my head. Where I was like, "Are these wrestlers?" Because there's one woman there who was jacked. She was like,
"Oh, was she?
She was jacked. She had like but maybe she just does like
that's
CrossFit
awesome.
or something in her free time, which good for her. Yeah,
I loved it. It's so weird because
it is weird.
He's getting over with kind of like the Godfather style.
No,
like
Mari, this is nothing like the Godfather.
We're not
what else?
There, but the women have been like, it's been amazing. We've been seeing all sorts of body types and styles, and I don't know. It's just weird. It's getting over. Like it's getting over with me at least. Like Bobby Lashley is the man.
Yeah, but I just think it's fun. I just think anytime, like it kind of. It's just funny because like they do a lot of dancing and kind of like, I'm trying to, maybe the best comparison I can make is probably like a Grand Prix race. Like I imagine that there are just women who are there who are like swaying from side to side, like maybe with like a Red Bull sponsorship and logo in the background, and like maybe they're like waving the little flags, like very early 2000s, late 90s, like a little bit objectifying, but like that's what I feel like they're going for. Like Vince is like, those just do the thing that those girls do at the NASCAR races back in the day. Like, I don't know. It's strange.
It does feel a little objectifying-y, but then it also doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what it is. They have not been referred to as like hoes or anything like the Godfather.
No,
it's just pretty ladies that MVP stocks his VIP with, the MVP VIP segment. So it's been really funny, but the biggest thing is we had Kofi, like Kofi kind of came in and for a minute there looked like he was in the title picture. Don't you dare tease me with a Kofi.
No, that's unnecessary. Like
give it to me.
We don't need that. Like we don't need the tease of Kofi. But I mean, I don't appreciate the tease. I appreciate Kofi being in the title picture, of course. But
I want him to move on. Like I want Lashley to move on from Drew and start a program with Kofi, because Kofi gets all of the reactions. Like he just goes just so close to the title, not even that close, and people are like, yes, Kofi, yes. So why don't they do that? Why don't they give us Lashley versus Kofi? And I think Kofi, I can't remember if it was Kofi and Drew had a match for the first time ever, like they had never faced each other before, or if it was Kofi and Lashley, but for a minute there, I was hoping it would be a triple threat or something like that, but we don't know. We don't know. Did they get a triple threat? I don't know. But anyways, this week on Raw, we did get a very good segment between MVP and Kofi, and MVP like trying to weasel Kofi away from Xavier and telling him like he doesn't like to watch him shucking and jiving.
This is not Soul Train. This actually, that's how I would punch this up. I would make it like if those women had like a line and like really had their like beats figured out, all of it. Like I would. I'm so glad that this is not a video podcast right now, because I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Just so you know, like just picture the best dance moves you've ever seen. But yeah, give me Soul Train. Why is it? And why?
I feel like the dancing is where the dancing is where the objectifying kind of comes in, maybe.
But see, that's why I want it to be like Soul Train instead of like
stripper.
I wasn't gonna say that. I was like, yes. I was looking for it, but yeah, you get the point.
Yes, but anyways, it was a callback to MVP talking to Bobby Lashley from TNA when TNA ROH, one of the when they were starting their group over there. So very interesting that MVP basically was like, right now I'm working with Bobby Lashley, but Kofi, I see something special in you. Very good. Like, please just give us a Lashley Kofi storyline after this Drew thing is done. Please, 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 please.
It feels very uninspired. Actually, that's like a big.
The Drew.
That's a big. That's Raw.
Bobby stuff.
The Drew Bobby stuff, but even like this segment, I watched it back a few times.
You didn't like the Kofi MVP segment?
It was just basic. And you know why I say that? I say that like in contrast to everything we just talked about with AEW, where it's so intricate and intentional and thought through. And I feel like they were like, okay, this week we're going to just have you stand backstage against a random wall and have a conversation. And it's like, okay, but like, let's make this creative. Like, where's the creative team?
I'm hoping that maybe this leads to like, you know, Kofi somehow getting involved with the Drew match so that he can, you know, like I said, slide in there. But we'll see. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of MVP. I love everything that Kofi does. The only other thing, not only other thing, but another thing to talk about. Eva Marie is coming back.
Favorite Big Brother player ever. Ooh, Eva Marie. I should say Natalie Eva Marie.
From Celebrity Big Brother 2. Known as Eva Marie in WWE, or she's coming back with the Evolution, which is like WWE. You're never gonna make fetch happen. Like, give it up. They've been trying to get this Evolution, this Evolution, this Live-lution, the Carmella-lution. They keep doing
Emelina.
This rebrand of, but Eva Marie. Has been she's been showing vignettes of like kind of what she's been doing since she left WWE, and she's calling herself like what'd she say? She's calling herself like the WWE superstar.
Oh, the role model.
No, not the role model.
She called herself a role model at some point. Maybe that was just like, I think that might have, you know what that was? That was like one of the things that, like, it's weird. The whole long build.
She's calling herself the new face of Monday Night Raw. That's what she's calling herself.
Yes. I think there was a promo where she called herself the role model, and then I remember Bayley tweeting about it and being like, no, you're not. And like, I just think maybe that was a mistake. It's like, oh no, Eva, I don't know if you've been watching SmackDown, but you can't do that. Gimmick infringement, not cool.
She's coming back with pink hair instead of like if
oh my god, this is so exciting.
Eva Marie's previous work, she had red hair. She was
all red
everything. When she went on Big Brother, she had like lavender hair.
You know what? Hair, I'm just gonna say this right now. Not to be shady, but like hair color is not a personality trait. And I just that we'll leave it at that. With Eva, though, I will say that I was actually getting really into her character, her all red everything, before she left, because I remember she was like showing up on SmackDown at the time and kept finding excuses not to wrestle, which worked because most people didn't want to see her wrestle, while she was also training. She was training with Brian Kendrick. Shout out to Brian Kendrick. And she was working on getting better. And then she kind of disappeared. And then she was on Big Brother. And then because we're wrestling fans, you know, you're rooting for her to do well. And she did pretty well. But I don't, like, I just think it's funny because for years, like, there have been stories and she's been interviewed, would you go back to wrestling? And she's kind of said, like, yeah, if they want me. Like, there was an interview from March of this year, or actually, no. It was there's probably an interview from March, but there was one from September of last year where she said, like, if it made sense, of course I'd come back home. And it's like, how hungry are you? Get hungry. You want to be here? Work for it. I'm like, honestly, not to like gatekeep, but I think of like Diddy and how intense Diddy was on making the band with like, do you want it? You better cross the Brooklyn Bridge and get me my cheesecake. Like,
right.
Aubrey, dance your ass off. Dance your ass off. Like, that is, I want more. I just want people to be hungry. And I just don't think she's that hungry. She's like, I'll show up if it makes sense, if it's a good career move. I never felt like there's the passion for wrestling. And honestly, I also don't personally, and maybe this is being a little judgy, but like, I don't have a ton of respect for like the people, I have so much respect, I should say, for the people who start in WWE, leave, and then go wrestle in the indies and then go wherever. But that was not her story. And so I just don't see the passion for pro wrestling being why she's there.
Yeah, Eva Marie. I first off, yes, I agree. I actually did like her All Red Everything character because, like you said, she basically avoided everything to wrestle, avoided wrestling at all costs, and it was a very, very funny gimmick.
By the way, I'll just say, like, credit to her because that was like 5 weeks, but it's so memorable.
Yeah, it is. It was really memorable. But she basically, from what I understand, she asked to leave the WWE because she wanted to focus on acting. She thought she was going to be acting more.
She did. She thought.
Yeah, and she thought, yeah. Then she ended up on C-list Celebrity Big Brother.
Okay, no.
Okay, I'm just playing. Anyway,
they were like, okay, there was definitely Tom Green was there.
She's back now. She's back because she had no choice. So we'll see. we'll see. She will make her in-ring debut. She'll be live in ring. We don't know if it'll be in-ring action, but she'll be live in ring this Monday, the 14th.
Oh no, she better wrestle. And it's fine if it's not this Monday night. But I need to see Eva Marie wrestle. And we've seen there've been like obviously the training videos. There also have been some rumors I've seen about her being paired with someone. So like,
oh really?
There are 2 people I saw mentioned. One is Eva Marie being paired with like, kind of like more of a muscle. So Piper Niven was from the Mae Young Classic was mentioned.
Yeah.
And then Mercedes Martinez was the other name I saw. And honestly, I'm just going to say it now that if they put Mercedes Martinez with the Evolution, I'm going to become the #1 Eva stan just for Mercedes because I have to support my homegirl, Mercedes. I do
love me some Mercedes.
Yeah, and shout out to her, by the way. Happy Pride to Mercedes. She has great LGBTQ representation. But yeah, I'm just gonna say if they do it, Vinny, if you're listening, please don't do that because I don't want to have to stand Eva.
Exactly.
Marie.
I was about to say thank you. But the Piper Niven, Piper Niven or whatever, that would kind of be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Don't say that, Mark.
I actually don't think I mind seeing that. But we'll see. All right.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
we'll see.
On to
never know.
Something very disappointing to see during the hiatus. We spent a large chunk of season 1 following the Fiend storyline, the Fiend and Alexa Bliss storyline.
That was our main storyline, I'd say.
It was our main, yes, it was. And I would say that I said it at after WrestleMania Night 2 when the Fiend lost to Randy Orton that this was the dumbest thing ever. Yeah, at Matt Scott, because Matt Scott still had hope back then.
But
I said that was the dumbest thing they could have done. Where are we going with this now? And I am upset. And guess what? I am triply upset because the Fiend's been gone. I can't even remember if he showed up on Raw like after WrestleMania. I think he showed up as Bray Wyatt for a second there, and then he was just gone. He's now off TV. He's been off TV for a while now, and all of that character trait thing has gone over to Alexa's character. Alexa had this promo after WrestleMania saying that she realized she no longer needed the Fiend and that the power was inside of her. And then she introduced her doll Lily, which was like, I guess, girl. And Alexa and Lily have been basically terrorizing the women's division for the past few weeks. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm no longer invested.
No.
I don't understand.
Big fan.
I don't like it at all anymore.
Yeah, probably not alone. Also, I'm just gonna say, Alexa Bliss, by the way, I saw a few weeks back, lost her pig, Larry Steve, and that was really, really sad to see. By the way, such a big heart as a person and a performer, right? But yeah, this is not. like we could make something out of it on the podcast and talk about it and talk about all of the goofy stuff that comes up. And it's, you know, like we just, I don't.
So
Where did the heat, like there was some energy, there was a lot of energy leading
into the story,
into Mania, and then coming out of it, like there was a lot of doubt and like, what was that? Why did we get that? And I was hopeful, as you mentioned, and then now we're here where it's like Alexa went from being like the A story, the main event multiple times, actually really like closing out the show and being featured alongside a lot of alongside the men, and which is huge, as we know, because you know, Triple H and women and stuff, but also you know, I think that I'm still hopeful. I'm just a little confused where WWE sees her, because like 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, even, it was very clear that they loved and were very invested in Alexa Bliss. And now it's like, okay.
I think I mean, the back is definitely invested in her. Is it are the fans still? Like, I mean, she has her Alexa squad. Like, there's people she will never alienate.
Totally.
It's just this character here now. Like, so she kind of gotten into it with like Shayna and Nia. They ended up, who we also featured a lot. Shayna and Nia ended up losing their titles to Natty and Tamina, and Shayna and Nia have also kind of just gone their separate ways, because during their rematch, Reginald got in the way, and then Shayna and Reginald had a match together. And in this week's clip, during Alexa and Shayna had came on like the playground, Alexa's playground, a few times before this, and during this segment, Shayna blames Alexa. This segment, let me go back. This segment from this week was very, very polarizing. A lot of people a lot of people just kind of hated it. So people either hated it or loved it. But basically, Shayna comes on the playground, talks to Alexa, and tells Alexa that she's the reason that she's been losing, that her and Nia lost their titles, and that why Reggie beat Shayna is because of Alexa. I actually liked this portion, because as somebody who was still just dipping my toe in and out of this storyline, Shayna clearly states why she is no longer like with Nia and Reggie, why she is turning her anger on Alexa and Lily, and it is so succinct, and I like that. I liked every part of Shayna's part in this segment. Alexa basically doing her little kid possessed thing, and saying, and Lily, having Lily there, and Shayna basically takes Lily. She says she's not afraid of Lily.
No,
she throws Lily down.
No, don't do that.
Alexa is telling her, you basically don't do that, or staring at her crazy. Alexa's basically doing a lot of staring with those contacts. And then Shayna steps on Lily, and it's like they did a really good job of cutting this all together. And then Alexa is basically like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, and all meanie face. And so fire starts popping up. Shayna like runs up the ramp, and it's fire, you know, and Shayna's kind of like running around acting scared. It cuts to Shayna in the back, again, very cinematic, where she's like trying to get out the door, but she can't. Lights are like flickering. It goes like very horror movie-ish. And Shayna's just trying to find a way out of the Thunderdome. And so she then goes into like a locker room area, and then there's mirrors everywhere, and then Lily is behind her, and she like throws something at the mirror, but Lily's still there. And then we close up on like
she kicks
Shayna.
The mirror.
Yeah, what Shayna's like she kicked the mirror. Okay, yeah, my bad. But like Shayna's like hands on her head, and she's like making this worried face, and people are like, oh, this is bullcrap. Like, they're making Shayna scary. Why is Shayna crying? I saw all of maybe it's because I saw all the reactions before I actually saw the clip. But once I saw the clip, I was like, damn, Shayna is acting. I really actually like this segment, because I have said it on this podcast. I
Yes.
love this Shayna. I love seeing Shayna's charisma. I love when Shayna talks. I love that now apparently she can go and be in like the Saw franchise, because she was a very good like horror movie actress there for that last 10 seconds. I'm like legit, and she wasn't crying. Her eyes were like watery a little bit, but I thought Shayna did a great job in this segment, given what creative asked them for. Do I think this is a great narrative? No. Do I think it's a bad story by bad creative? Yes. Do I think Shayna knocked that out of the park? Hell yes. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the side of I like the segment. I like Shayna.
Yeah. First of all, where do I go first here? So one, I guess the first thing I just want to mention is I think that everything you said is like super valid. And I think I kind of agree with a lot of it. But the problem is I just don't feel like performers talking to dolls or to inanimate objects, like unless it's like an Alexa situation where like that's your thing, like talking to an inanimate object is just kind of like inherently
Silly.
goofy in my mind in WWE. And so to me, I'm like, is Shayna coming off too goofy? I don't know. We'll see how this affects her longer term, but I hope it doesn't go from like, you know, the serious shooter gimmick to kind of like, you know, talking to dolls. And being afraid of dolls. But yeah, I like what you're saying. Like, I want to see her in the Saw franchise. I want to see her like chained to a pipe in a boiler room and chopping off her foot to get free. That's what I need. Like, I need Jigsaw rolling up on his little tricycle. Like, do you want to play a game? And Shayna's like, I'm ready for it. Like, that's what I'm ready. I need it. But
that's what I like, because I've been very vocal. I did not like Shayna in NXT. Like, some people were like, "Oh, we need the old Shayna back," like the kick-ass NXT. Yeah, I didn't like her. I didn't like that boring, dominating heel. And let's be real, just a year ago, people didn't like Shayna running through the women's elimination chamber match, beating everybody, when she was still doing that dominant heel character. So
that was too soon, I think, too, especially. Like, she just got there. It was weird because like she had that dominant month or two, and then everything. Yeah, and then everything kind of changed and shifted to like the Nia stuff and like more overtime, especially now, like more of the. Actually, I don't even know if I would really call this like it's kind of comedy.
It's not comedy. It's just
it's not
charisma.
Exactly. It's not. Yeah, it's like right now it's because you get the creepy vibes. It's actually, I guess, a good comparison is the Alexa Randy Fiend stuff, where like it's not comedy. You could laugh at it, and we laughed a lot at a lot of it, but like at the same time, like hopefully we're getting that from Shayna. And you know what?
And that's what I feel we're getting. I feel
if I'm gonna be hopeful,
that still cool Randy Orton reaction to this
weird stuff. That's what I'm
Shayna
saying.
Doing that. Yeah.
That's what I'm just getting at, where I'm coming around to it as I like verbally process all of this, because like, yeah, maybe Shayna could benefit from some of the glow of Alexa, which clearly was just on the Fiend and Randy. So I don't know why I stay hopeful.
Yeah.
But I mean, what other choice do you have, right?
Yeah. And like I said, the storylines can definitely be crap, but it's, you know, the superstars are the ones who like really, you know, make it. And I do think Shayna is doing a pretty good job turning shit into, you know, chicken shit into chicken salad. So I don't know. That's just me. And like I said, I love Shayna showing personality, just period. Give me some personality. And that's why I like, the crowd is so fickle. Like, that's why they should never listen to any of us, because the crowd is so fickle. They go back from I hated Shayna dominating all the women, and I was so happy that Becky beat her, to man, they're making Shayna look goofy, turn her back into like a dominating heel. It's like, you can do both. Like, she is showing some charisma, she's showing some actual
uniqueness,
personality,
nerve,
and talent. So I didn't find it as bad as I think a lot of people did. because it was like people hated it like that. It was trending for like a day and a half that people just really didn't like that segment. So
can't
blame
them.
I know.
Not everyone loves chicken salad.
Yes, that's true. That is true. That is true. I don't either. So on SmackDown, I mean, SmackDown is just I say I don't watch Raw live. I normally watch SmackDown live. I don't miss a SmackDown, to be quite honest, because the Roman, Jimmy, and Jey Uso stuff has just been phenomenal.
Give us that day one-ish.
Yes, the storytelling amongst the family, and then Jimmy coming back trying to sway Jey over to his side, but Jey being loyal to Roman, but then Roman basically saying, you go back to Jimmy, you'll just be another one of the Usos, you're no longer the main event. It's just so good, and it's so horrible because Roman is such a bad guy, and it's so
You know what? Speaking of going back to Eva and Celebrity Big Brother 2, we got Tamar Braxton as the winner. We've seen Braxton family values. I want Oos family values now. Give me Oos family values. I would love to just see it all worked out behind the scenes. And throw in Naomi. She's in the family too. Get her over here to SmackDown. Please. We need her. And also they have a pretty light women's roster right now. So
oh my God, knows? Very light.
Very light.
Like skeleton. half of the SmackDown women's roster was just let go. So please.
They didn't notice, the equality. They're featured.
Yeah.
We don't want to have an all-women show, so we have to release all of the really great women who are on SmackDown. Sure. Yes.
And Naomi has been tweeting like whenever like Roman messes with Jimmy, Naomi has been tweeting like I'll get him. It's so good. Like the show, it's being carried by Roman, Jimmy, and Jey, or Jey and Jimmy. I love that whole like Jimmy and Jey have been trying to go after the tag team titles for the past few weeks, and Roman correctly points out like you guys opened the show for the tag team titles to Jey, and he's like, Jey, when it was just me and you were main eventing, and Roman is doing some top tier manipulation and gaslighting. Like it is like the top freaking tier, which is
love
horrendous.
It.
So yeah,
would love to be gaslight me, Roman. Gaslight me. Ooh, yes.
He is like the best heel in wrestling right now. I don't care what anybody says. I really don't. He is carrying that show, and so the Mysterios won the tag team titles from the Dirty Dogs it was a month or so ago.
Yeah.
Maybe at the pay-per-view. I don't know.
Sure.
Who cares? But so Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio are now officially the first ever like father-son tag team champions in like WWE history. And so Jimmy and Jey were trying to take the belts from them, but like Roman he got them disqualified. At one point the ref blew a call when Jey got his shoulder up and in the first match. So it's been great storytelling. And then last night it just really, really kicked up a notch because when Roman interfered last week in the tag team title match, he like beat the snot out of Dominic Mysterio. So Rey came back and he was mad and he wanted to confront Roman in the ring, and because he said that Dominic was like really hurt and all of that. And so Roman comes to confront Rey Mysterio, but then Dominic gives Rey a kendo stick. Rey starts beating up on Roman, but Roman quickly overtakes Rey, and then Dominic comes out of nowhere, and then Dominic and Roman start going at it, and Roman got the upper hand on Dominic, and Roman chucked Dominic out of the ring. It was
he didn't need to do that.
Crazy. It was all over Twitter. It was so wow. He threw that boy like he was a newspaper, and Roman was on a paper route. Like so Rey Mysterio challenged Roman to a title match at Hell in a Cell, which I was not seeing this coming. Like I Hell in a Cell's next week. I did at this point, I guess we didn't know who Roman was going to face. And so, it looks like he's going to be facing Rey Mysterio, which is nuts banana. We're about to get Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio possibly for the Universal Championship at Hell in a Cell. I don't know if it's
why
in a cell. But
I don't know why it feels so. I don't know. It just feels good. It feels kind of exciting. And I don't know what it is exactly.
Yeah, and I realized I probably should have saved all of that explanation for our podcast next week. But it's just been so good. It honestly, yeah, exactly. It's been so good. So yeah, we're again, that was me slipping up. We're gonna keep it light for the rest of it. But
you?
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying this story though, Matt?
You know what? Yeah, like there are different parts to it, right? Like I really like the Oos family values, and I also like that we're seeing like this is actually kind of what I wanted, and I guess Edge wasn't the person for it, but this is what I wanted with the Edge storyline. Like, ooh, okay, we're gonna get Christian in there. We're gonna get Beth Phoenix showing up. Like, I like that they're having like family feud. Without Steve Harvey, of course. But, you know, I don't know which way I'd prefer it. But hey, maybe Steve Harvey will show up.
No, let's not.
Let's not. Yeah.
Let's not
I mean, I put it out there because
let's not.
I just don't think I think I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't happen.
So yeah, that's great. We'll get into that more later on the week. Also, another feud that's just been going, Bianca and Bayley. Bianca is the current SmackDown Women's Champion. Her and Bayley renewed their feud after WrestleMania. They faced each other at WrestleMania Backlash, if I remember correctly. And again, we'll go into, great detail what's been going on. But basically, they've just been building a great feud while Sasha's been gone. Sasha's been gone since WrestleMania. So they've been kind of carrying the division on their back. Like Matt said, the SmackDown Women's division has been very light because of all of the cuts. Big shout out to Liv Morgan and Carmella too, who have been having a few good matches the last few weeks. I actually really like their matches. So it's been good. Natty and Tamina, they won the belts, like we said. This is Tamina's first championship belt ever, which is crazy to me, but whatever.
I mean, I'm glad. I'm really glad it happened though. Eventually.
Oh, of course. I'm just shocked that it took this long.
They were like, you know what, Tamina? You know what?
I shouldn't be shocked.
You know what, Vince? Actually, I think Vince was like, we need a hot, young, new talent feature here. And it was I just like, I've always liked the idea of Tamina, but I also feel like they kind of treated Tamina as a joke. And I love this respect that they're giving to her and to Natty, first of all. Because like the thing that's so rough about Natty sometimes is that we've seen her on like, not only on social media, but on Total Divas, just like literally in conversation with Mark Carrano about how frustrated she's been with her spot multiple times. And it's like, you really feel for her. And I don't think there's anyone in the WWE who I'm happier for right now with their spot than these two. This is really great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So SmackDown.
I don't know what they were waiting for. I just want to put that out there again. I don't know what they were waiting for, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. SmackDown is firing on all cylinders. It really is. It is like not a must watch show. Yeah. So
yeah, and speaking of firing on all cylinders, Pat McAfee on commentary. What? That man is standing half the time. So but it's his excitement. He is really good. And we've kind of seen like some shifts over on Raw. So we saw we saw Adnan Virk pop in for like a cup of coffee, and that didn't work out too well. But you know what? I like it. It's nice to see people who are excited about wrestling, and it translates.
Oh my gosh, yes. Pat McAfee and Michael Cole on the announce table. Didn't know that's what I needed, but they are really good. Pat McAfee is so freaking good. I especially like when Nakamura has a new entrance, Rick Boog, whatever, I can't even say his name, plays Nakamura in on his entrance now. And Pat McAfee, they always cut to him. He is standing on the announce desk, rocking out to Rick Boog on the guitar, playing Nakamura in, and it is just great. Like, shout out to Pat McAfee. He did a great job in NXT. I think we may have covered. I can't remember if we covered that or not, but he did a great job with Adam Cole in NXT.
Yeah.
He is, he has his own podcast. He's not new to this when it comes to sports commentating and stuff like that. Former Indianapolis Colt punter, right? Is it punter or kicker? One of the two.
Same thing. I don't look.
But he's great.
There's a difference?
I don't know. Yeah, there's a difference. There's kickers and punters. But he's amazing. He's amazing, and I love listening to the SmackDown announce team. So
we're not going to go into the kicker punter thing, but that actually just blew my mind. Let's move on. Okay. Well, because what are no, we're not talking about this. We're not talking about this. We're not talking about this.
Okay, so and finally, just wrapping up the highlights of the hiatus. Yes. NXT In Your House will be this Sunday. It is the NXT's own kind of pay-per-view match. You can watch all of WWE's pay-per-view matches on Peacock now. If you have I know for Peacock comes free to me through my cable provider. So yeah, it's fancy. Yeah, it's really easy for me to watch these. So that is kind of the, not to get into it too much, but that is kind of the problem with like you said, I didn't watch Double or Nothing live because Rob doesn't pay us enough to be able to pay to be able to pay $60 for pay-per-views. So we catch it later,
Yeah, Mari, our contracts are big. We're getting
that WWE.
Let me just say, this is our full-time job. Yeah. Just so you know. Thank you, Rob. I feel by the way, let me just say, because you mentioned Rob, one thing I love about Sasha Banks, and I don't think I've ever said this on the podcast, random side note, but she tweets Vince McMahon sometimes.
She
does, and I literally have screenshotted some of these tweets. Thank you, Vinny.
Yes.
Please. Prayer emoji hand. Oh my God. I love Sasha so much. The boss, the real boss.
One day we're just going to tweet out, thank you, Rob.
Oh no, I'm literally just going to tweet Robbie. Not even tag him.
Yeah. So, it's hard for us to watch some of those pay-per-views. So if you, shout out if you got any links, whatever. So NXT In Your House, it's another one of those takeovers where it has a 5-match card. The NXT Championship will be a fatal 5-way between Karrion Kross, who is the current champion, versus Adam Cole, versus Pete Dunne, versus Johnny Gargano, versus Kyle O'Reilly. This match is it's for the championship. Karrion Kross does not move me as the champion. Wow. Any one of these, I know. I don't
know why I'm pretending to be shocked, honestly.
I know. I don't know why you are. Any of these 4 other guys could take the championship, and I would love it, but I don't think that's going to happen right now.
No.
I'm pretty sure I'm on record saying that the only good thing about Karrion Kross is Scarlett. Yeah. So it's whatever. This match, I'm going to just say I think Karrion Kross is going to take this.
I do like a good bald wrestler with some tattoos. So, I think that goes for him. But yeah, Karrion Kross, and I think everyone else kind of has things going on that the Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly thing is the thing that stands out to me most. But yeah, I'm not really. I'm just thinking about 5-way matches too, and
I don't 5-way feel
matches. But I don't think WWE loves to. This might be based on nothing, so correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. But I don't feel like they love to switch titles in big matches if they want it to be consequential and meaneful. They one-on-one or even triple threats, but not a 5-person where there's so many shenanigans.
Yeah, I forget. I have to ask one of my best friends because he used to break it down for me. He was like, I think it's something like triple threats. You might see a title switch, but a fatal 4-way you won't. Something like that. But either way, I do I like fatal 5-way matches in a sense. If it's covered right and it's done right, there can be things going on all the time, you know, like people fight on the outside, people fight on the inside, whatever. So the match style itself, I'm excited about, but the match, whatever. Next we have the NXT Women's Championship match, Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon. Again,
I mean, she's retaining, I assume.
Yeah, she just got it, and she'll more than likely have Dakota Kai in her corner, because you can't convince me that they're not gonna do something where Dakota or Raquel turn on each other at some point. They have to tell that storyline, I feel like, first. And Ember Moon, a former NXT Women's Champion herself. She came back down to NXT to kind of get her mojo back. And
Mojo Raleigh, if you will.
I mean, she is a credible challenger. I love everything Ember does in the ring. I mean, she still has one of the best women's finishers of all time.
One of the best finishers overall of all time. Like, especially from a consistency perspective of hitting it and it just having that impact.
Looking amazing.
Love it.
But she still doesn't, for some reason, doesn't feel like a credible challenger, just in the sense that they're still building Raquel.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to go with Raquel on that one.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this. Are we really shocked? The winner takes all match of the NXT Tag Team Championships and the North American Championship are going to be put on the line. So Bronson Reed is the current North American champion. I think he took it off of Johnny Gargano. And then MSK are the NXT Tag Team Champions. We have covered them. We all know I am MSK Mark fan, Stan, all of the above. I love MSK. And so, and there is going to be them versus Legado del Fantasma. I love
Santos
Legado del Fantasma.
Escobar.
Yes.
Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde.
Yes, I love Legado del Fantasma. So this match, and I love this kind of gimmick match where whoever wins takes all the gold. I love that. They don't do these enough. They don't do these enough. And you just know there's going to just be a lot of high flying and a lot of hard hitting in this match. So
no, by the way, I love this type of match where it's like you have champions on both sides. So no matter what, somebody's going to lose something. But I feel like NXT really loves Bronson Reed and MSK, and WWE wants to like build them up. And so this is going to be fun. I've come around to like MSK. Bronson Reed, I'm still figuring out. But
me too. Me too, actually. Yeah. I'm still a little
not for us.
But I'm excited about that match. And I think Bronson Reed and MSK are gonna take this here, but I think that's gonna be match of the night. I honestly think that's gonna be match of the night. That might be saying a much, but I like it. So this too. $1 million championship ladder match, Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight.
We have the $1 million championship in the picture.
Yeah, like, so Cameron Grimes, like we were talking about before we left, Cameron Grimes has been, he won his money on cryptocurrency. He's been trying to outdo Ted DiBiase, but at every turn, Ted DiBiase has been getting the better of him. And finally, Ted DiBiase brought back the $1 million championship match. He put it on the line. LA Knight, I think, is this LA Knight's first takeover appearance? Probably not, but it's going to be LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes.
Think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, in a ladder match for the $1 million championship. And first off, I love the ladder matches. And second off, the $1 million championship is just one of those championships where it's just like, it actually means absolutely nothing, but it's also pretty cool to have around. Like, it's almost, I hate to say it, it's almost like the 24/7 championship. Like, where has that been? Like, for reals.
It's fine. It could. Wait. Actually.
Yeah. Yes. Think about it. It's always our truth. If you have to ask who has the million,
I was gonna say. Title, it always goes back to R-Truth. I feel like R-Truth hit like 50 reigns, and then maybe we were also and I don't know. I don't remember.
No,
I don't remember what happened with
50.
That.
He was at like 35.
He is at 50, but I don't. Maybe he's at 51.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to be accurate, but let's put I want to see a Virgil on the. I was gonna make a joke about Virgil on a pole match, and I just don't like the sound of that, Mari. So
No.
we're gonna leave it in, but just note for next time. No, we're good. No more on a pole matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. $1 Million Championship ladder match. I don't know. I haven't really. Maybe Cameron. I feel like this goes better with Cameron Grimes's character, I guess. But I don't know. Either way.
I don't know either.
Well, LA Knight does have that kind. LA Knight does have that character, like the bombastic character as well.
Ooh, that's a big Latanya word. Bombastic.
So I just think it's going to be a good match. It's going to be a decent match. It's going to be a ladder match. Let's go with LA Knight winning here for me.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then finally, another women's match, just a regular singles match, Mercedes Martinez versus Xia Li. Xia Li was a big storyline that we talked about all season 1. To be quite honest, I don't know where it's gone. I'm very confused about it. So we'll do some more digging and we'll talk about that later. But basically, Mercedes Martinez versus Xia Li. I think this was some sort of spinoff between the Robert Stone brand or something, and I don't know, man, but I don't know who should win this, because last time I checked, they were still building up Xia Li, but Mercedes Martinez is a very big foe to try and conquer for her.
You know, one thing that I think that I've realized is, as much as I like Mercedes Martinez, I don't like talking about Mercedes Martinez in like random throwaway stuff. Like I can't wait until the moment, her moment, whatever that really looks like, or when that really comes up. But yeah, sure. I think Xia is gonna take this.
Yeah, I can see Xia Li winning because of some random interference with the Robert Stone brand, because I think Robert Stone was trying to hire Mercedes to do some stuff or something like that. So either way, it's probably going to be on it was a while ago, right? It's probably going to be on
I mean, also like with Xia, the other thing is like they started that storyline and at the start of the year, and it was really intense. And I mean, you would think that it could build to this championship picture level. Right. I mean, I wonder if we might get Xia Li versus Raquel Gonzalez. And to me, that would make more sense than, from like a long-term storytelling perspective than like Mercedes Martinez versus Raquel Gonzalez, which would be a lot of fun.
Jesse Kamea.
A lot of people. Exactly. Yeah. So I would like very mid-card. I would. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But hopefully it builds up more so that there's like more of a payoff around her gimmick, around Xia's gimmick.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's it for the highlights of our hiatus. Check out our show notes for any clips that we've included this week. Again, little light on the clips just because we're just hanging out. We're chilling. So next up, our final segment, the shoot segment, where each week we talk about anything unplanned, unscripted, or any real life occurrences that have happened in wrestling. And since basically this has just been a long shoot episode, that's what we decided to do this week. We're just gonna use this time to tell you, like, we're back. We're excited to be back for the second season. We're planning to do more new segments, as many many different ones as possible. We're gonna have great guests. Again, some guests that we might have had on before, some new guests, some new people, like just switch it up. Yeah, we're gonna really try to bring this second season. We're gonna try and pull in as many more communities as possible. We want to be more inclusive. We want to reach out and touch the wrestling community in some way, shape, or form. Matt, are you excited about the second season?
I am. And I think that it's like, yes, I am, even though we've started the second season already. So clearly I'm excited for the second season. But I think the thing that I'm most excited by is just like all of the people who will pass through the podcast and all of the different communities, as you mentioned, that will get kind of like these shout outs and some recognition. And so, I think for a lot of you too, feel free to let us know, like to DM us. Probably not best to like I mean, who knows? Yeah, I'm not encouraging people to tag people and tweet them that they should be on our podcast. No, but like you could DM us and email us wrestling@RHAPhasawebsite.com to let us know who you'd like to see. But just think of RHAP, and there are a ton of people within this RHAP universe who we would love to have on. Some of them listen to the podcast, some of them don't, but we'll see what we can make happen. We're gonna make some magic happen. And you know, I to your point just about being glad to be back, I want to just say, Robbie, thank you, Robbie.
Okay.
I don't know why that's like my Sasha Twitter Vince voice, but I just feel it. I feel it.
Yes.
Thank you, Robbie.
Yes, and we really appreciate the RHAP community for embracing us. Please help us continue to do this by just showing us the support by subscribing, rating, and reviewing.
And share. Because I was literally just having this conversation with someone yesterday. Like, you could listen to the podcast and that's great, but like, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Like, be a good friend by thinking about your friends and saying, who would be who would be interested in hearing about this podcast and about pro wrestling through our lens? Because it's not, I feel like like wrestling, yeah, that's great, but what we do is we talk about wrestling through our lens as reality TV fans. And I don't know, as a reality TV fan, I have a lot of fun doing it. I like it. I like what we do. And I think it's cool to see other people kind of get into it. And, you know, whether or not they watch week to week, have fun with us. And I've had a ton of fun on this episode already. So I'm just saying, Can't wait for the magic to happen over the next couple of months of season 2, really, as we lead up to and build up to the biggest party of the SummerSlam.
Yes, and before we go, I have to shout out Black Wrestling Twitter. You guys are amazing.
Shout out to
I was present at the trial of Seahawk, and it just goes to show you that communities built around different, just cultures like wrestling itself, it's just so eye-opening, and you meet so many different people. And not only that, but it was just funny. Black Wrestling Twitter, you are hilarious. That does not mean other wrestling Twitter isn't hilarious. I just wanted to shout them out because on a Monday during Raw, they had 500 people on Twitter Spaces or Places, a feature that nobody uses on Twitter.
Literally
no one. That was my first time ever using it. There was over 500 people there to talk about just different issues within like Black Wrestling Twitter and stuff like that. And shout out to @Seahawk on Twitter and everybody who was there. It was so fun, so funny. I think we got a lot accomplished by just talking stuff through, and it's just funny. It's when you're part of a culture that then enjoys the same thing you do. You just see so many different perspectives, and like Matt said, that's what we aim to do. We aim to just bring our perspective, different perspectives to the world of wrestling podcasts. So thank you for being here with us. Thank you for riding with us, and we hope we can reach out to more people as much as we can.
Yeah, and just like putting a cap on it, representation matters.
It sure does.
That's the lesson.
I mean,
that's our episode title. No. but
yeah, exactly. So Matt, time to get out of here. Where can people find you? What are you doing?
Oh my God, Mari.
Plug yourself.
I have some plugs. Today. So a lot of different things are coming up actually, but things I'll mention. So one is around like this time next week, you'll see a podcast drop that I'm going to do with frequent guest and friend of the show, even though we canceled her at the start of the episode, Grace Leader, aka Stella Skews You, talking on post-show recaps about Pride on FX, which is a 6-part docuseries going decade by decade through just the LGBTQ fight for civil rights. So that's going to be really powerful. I also See, this is what happens when I'm not podcasting. I just get my hands into other stuff. So I wrote a column, my first column for something called Into Magazine, similarly on the theme. It's a digital magazine about the modern queer world. I also released a film. It's like a thing. It's a small thing. Check it out, please, at www.lets.care/film. It's called 20s and Change San Francisco. Lita, Amy Dumas, is in that. She pops in. I'm still reliving that, even though that was 2 years ago. And it is. I think that's what I've got. But you could also just follow me at Matt Scott GW. And this is between like this stuff and Mafia, and then a couple of other things that will come out in the next week. I'm so proud to say I'm booked and busy, because usually I'm not. So this is going to be nice.
Yes, and I'm so proud of you, Matt. You've been doing great things. So
okay, wait, hold on. Before even that, let me just say, Mari, but okay, so we did get to podcast together for Cook Islands and all of that, and that was great. But you are just I don't know. And you deserve a podcasting award for something, because I just see you out here shining. What was I listening to? Probably everything. There's been a lot of stuff, but Solitary. You were in the RHAP Rewind. Hilarious, just shining. So I'm grateful to be here on the Wrestling RHAPup, which is my main chick, basically.
Yes, same. Yes, thank you. Main chick. Jesus.
Ow, that I laughed too hard.
So as for me, you can catch me, like Matt said, I was on the RHAP Rewind a few weeks ago, going over Solitary with both Taryn and Chappelle, aka Sea Dog. You can catch us. We were on the Cook Island podcast again 2 weeks ago. It was the 19th ranked Survivor season. So go listen to us talk for 5 hours about that. You can go to Puya's Twitch. And I was on there. I did a 2-parter with him, a tier list Tuesday 2-parter. We just finished up the second part this Tuesday. We were ranking our favorite TV channels. If you want to hear all of the crazy TV shows that I watch or currently watch or previously watched, you can find it there. You can watch the VOD. Also, just a shout out to Puya, because he is currently doing a subathon all June. He's streaming all June. So please go to Twitch, follow Puya. You can find a link to his Twitch at his Twitter at Puyaism on Twitter. So shout out to him for letting me do the tier list, doing Amongst Us a few times. We were both, like we mentioned at the top, we were both on the RHAP Podcasters Mafia game. You can find that on YouTube at Rob Podcast on YouTube. And other than that, once Big Brother it goes live July 7th, I will hopefully be doing some Big Brother coverage. So
same actually.
I'm glad to be back in the swing of things with you, Matt. I'm glad we will be here every week. And on top of that, we'll be doing some other things. So everybody stay tuned. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Give us 5 stars. You can find us at the Wrestling RHAPup's podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. Again, you can email us and we might read your email. Send your email to wrestling@RHAP.com. Matt, would you want to take over for the rest of our plugs?
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would say is that beyond emailing us at wrestling@RHAPisawebsite.com, you could tweet us. You could use hashtag WrestlingRHAPup. I mean, probably even better if you just tag us at Wrestling RHAPup, at Mari Talks Too Much, at Matt Scott DW. I've mentioned before, I'm an RHAP patron. And, typically we recommend for people to join at the start of the month to get the most out of all of the content. But you know what? I think I probably joined as a patron in the middle of a month in June. So, hey, just show up, do what you want to do. We're good people. It's a great community of people.
go join the RHAP Patreon. Become an RHAP patron, where you can get access to the Discord, the patron Discord, the patron Facebook. We will hopefully be doing a few watch parties. So if you want to catch us there, join the Patreon. Join us on Discord for the watch parties. Tell them the Wrestling RHAPup sent you. Please tell them we sent you.
Tell them.
Other than that, watch out for any flying elbows, and we'll see you next week.